started, mate. This is how it starts, like.
I'm alright, mate.
Apologies, man.
You just missed Gerald's sexual experiences over Zoom, man. I told you don't miss the start of these things.
Apologies, mate. It's so...
You had your chance and you blew it, mate.
Nothing worse than someone being late, man.
You had your chance. It was full on in the nod and you missed it.
Oh, yeah. From the waist down or up as well?
Well, whichever Eatho preferred. I gave Eatho the choice, like.
He got all excited at the start and took his trousers off, but we had to rein him in a little bit. It's a kid. Kids will be watching this thing.
Yeah.
How's the podcast going, Garo, anyway?
Yeah, it was more just yeah, like we didn't have much else to be doing, you know what I mean? And like there's pros and cons obviously to COVID, but one of the pros has been everyone's used to Zoom now. So like we've got a lot of, I suppose, what you'd say, international kind of people on that if we were still running it and things were normal, you probably wouldn't get the chance to talk to them, like.
Yeah.
So it's one of the kind of, I suppose, few pros of the Zoom world at the minute, like.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't want to go on about COVID for too long, so I'll ask it like kind of once and then I'll move away from it. But what's it been like for you
two? Mention the C word. Damn, I'll let you go first, mate.
Yeah, I think it's the norm now. It's been everyone's definitely used to it now, but it was tough at the start. And again, like I said about Zoom, it's if this had happened 10 years ago, even we kind of would have been in a worse position. You know, we would have been screwed. So I think Zoom has been a massive, help. Just being able to keep working remotely. Yeah, it's been tough, but I think people are definitely getting used to it, and like you said, with people getting used to it, it becomes the norm. So we've been able to work remotely. I've been able to work remotely, from like kind of midway through the first lockdown till now as normal. So it's been a blessing, but still it's not the same, but it does the job. You know, it gets the job done, but people can't wait to get back and have the bit of crack and just the kind of the vibe that you get off being in person with people, you know, or being in a different setting, being in a gym rather than being at home, you know. So there's definitely it's been okay. It's been doing the job, but it's not the same.
Yeah, like you said, there was we were in the school there like last summer, and a fella came in, and you know, like we all kind of probably adapted a bit quicker because we're used to technology. But like he was walking in and he still had a Nokia in his hand, still like putting posters up in the school hall, and you know, like we're kind of out to adapt. But there's plenty of clubs that it's just like this is all past them boy. Like I don't even think he had any emails. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or just older coaches. Yeah, older coaches. Just definitely struggling with that side of things. But yeah, I'm still quite old school with things. Even with my programs, I'll be all pen and paper. You know, just write the programs down. Still pen and paper job. So I'll be still quite old school with that kind of things, with pen and paper. But the Zoom.
I was like your man from
and it was actually my older client, one of the two older clients that I have, that asked me to start doing Zoom, which is funny, you know, and because when the very first lockdown, I didn't do it. I didn't go down that road. It was more like a satellite kind of program, just programming people remotely, just giving them the programs and sending them on kind of videos explaining what they're doing, demoing what they're doing. But it was two of my older clients that actually recommended doing the Zooms, and it worked really well with them, and then they got me on board. Then we just started doing them with everyone then. But even at the start, I was a bit shy of it in a sense.
Yeah,
I
was just gonna say there, Damo's like your man from the water boy with his little blue notebook, like not letting anyone steal it. Like, Damo, gives a look at that program there. Like mostly he has the ones that he gives to me, and then he has the ones that are like his secret plays, like, you know. Secret sauce.
It's like I was in prison or something the way I wrote, you know. You wouldn't be able to read it anyway. You'd have to squint really hard and it's tiny.
Yeah, it's so one of the benefits of like,
you're nearly as bad as me. You're nearly as bad as me with the writing, Eatho, aren't you? You're finally got someone in the gym that writes worse than me. That's what Lindsay and Austin do.
Yeah.
That's one of the benefits of having awful writing, though. No one can copy it, like.
That's it, yeah, like a doctor. You don't see a doctor with a good GP with a good right. You never read it.
And what like obviously yeah, from the coaching side they're getting into Zoom, but for both these with your own training, like, and obviously not having as many competitions and stuff, like I know you had one Damo in November, didn't you?
Yeah, there was one.
It's obviously
it was in Dubai, and again, like, it seems to be the only kind of place that's really running things. Really, the UAE seems to be the place to be now at the minute. That's still being able to run stuff, and I don't know if it's just down to the people that are actually running shows over there. In a sense, it's like they've got serious money behind them, and they're not really running it like a business. Whereas anything real local, whether it be Ireland or the UK even, and kind of over these shores, it's usually run like a business in a sense. And people are there. They want return, so they want money back. So I think it's harder to do it during these times when you can't get spectators in. But as I said, over in the UAE, I think that there's a lot of money there, and I think they're just running it as a hobby. Most of the things they're just running it as a hobby, something to do, they want it to be just an extravagant show. I don't think they're looking for any financial return. I think that's the main reason why they've been putting on shows over there. Not exactly looking for money. They just want always on the UAE and the shows that they're being able to put on. So I think that's the reason why they've been able to do it. But it was good. It was good to get over there, and it was great, and hopefully it can happen again. But it's just the training side of things is definitely hindered over here. Limited training partners. Obviously, you could have more training partners. People are still there and they're still trying. That's why I think the training has been limited, and everyone has to kind of keep their circle small, because you could try and go with business as normal, but again, if you catch COVID, the whole thing is off. The whole show is off. So you have to try and balance being ready with also just getting to the dance in a sense, So it is a hard one to juggle, but training wise, I've been able to kind of keep ticking away. We didn't have a massive club as far as numbers anyway, just me and the coach and a handful of people anyway. So it's been okay. We were not a massive gym that's been struck down numbers wise. So that from that point of view, it's been alright. But you know Roy Garrett, don't you? Roy Long.
Yeah.
So I'm trying.
Roy's my postman, mate.
Yeah. Roy's been
keeps leaving
over.
Nice little drawings on all my letters, like.
Yeah, I done that with me for a while. Yeah, he's done that with me for a while. Yeah, he's So Roseman helped me. He's been training with me, so he's been kind of the trainer partner for the last few weeks. So it's been good having him. But other than that, it's things haven't changed too much. We still have the gym there. It's closed, obviously, but I can still go there myself and train. It's within me 5K or whatever, and I'm able to still take away in there as far as my strength and conditioning, and then we can use that to kickbox in myself and Roy. But it's from that point of view, it's okay, but definitely it's limited. That's all I can say. Things are definitely limited.
Like mentally for both is like obviously you done a lot of like marathons and stuff as well. So like, is it hard to like keep training when you don't have say a guarantee that something's coming up in 3 months, or you're not training towards something? If you get me, it's just waiting almost.
Yeah, I think so, man. Like even going back to last year when all this started, like I had so many things booked in for 2020, and then for them all to be just taken away like that, it can be demotivating, or like you can kind of take a blow from it. But I think the important thing was at the time, and still now, is like to kind of, like, it's a good time to focus on things you're not good at. I think me and Dan were talking about this last week. It's a good time to sort of set your own little goals. And even last year, like from myself, I was meant to run a 50k in June, in Galway, a race, and I was disappointed. Obviously, that was cancelled, but I was like, I'm gonna do the 50k anyway. That kind of way. I ran around the block a few times in Dunleary, and then that kind of did tick that off. But now, this, especially since the turn of the year, we knew that nothing was really going to be happening this year, competition wise or race wise or whatever you want to call it. So I think Damo probably agrees it's a good time to focus on things you're not good at. Focus on, like, from my own standpoint, it was good to, like, kind of gain a bit of fucking weight, build my strength, and kind of get to a point where I wanted to be, and
gain a bit of weight while also doing a 50k.
Yeah, I know, I haven't done that in a while now. So, like, Damo, I'll tell you, I'm up to fucking 80. I'm allowed to course on this. It's not a family show. Right?
Do what you want, mate. You talked about me getting it out earlier.
Yeah, Gareth was in the nip at the start of the show. Now
I was gonna say there's no point in having me on if I can't curse, but no, it is, and, like, I mean, it was definitely a point where I came to where I was like, you know what, I wouldn't mind being a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster. So yeah, it's a good time to just focus on stuff you're not good at. I think the big thing is don't be setting mad goals for yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Just set small little goals, small within your training plan, and, like, just take it day by day and try and take the positives out of it. Like, you know, because if we sit here talking about, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, this is cancelled, that's cancelled, your head would be fucking wrecked. Like, you know.
Yeah. Has it been the same for you, Damo?
Yeah. It has. It has been an opportunity to try, and again, as Eatho said about working on things that you haven't, in a sense. I've been trying to assess things, and I was like, right, better knuckle down, start doing some strength training. So again, as I mentioned at the start, I was trying to get into the gym now. We started the gym there and trying to do some strength and conditioning, but with more strength, to be honest, just strength work. That had been a thing that I'd stopped doing altogether for probably a year, because I was just training at home, because that's all what my clients were doing. So again, I was just trying to make sure things were working well for them before I'd send it on, make sure I'm practicing what I'm preaching and making sure it's effective. But on the other side of it, I hadn't done any strength work. It was all kind of high rep stuff. So that was definitely something that I felt I was lacking then when I went over to Dubai in November. I felt that in my performance, in a sense. So it was something, you know, you try and get back on that. And yeah, I'm by no means in a calorie deficit at the minute, so I'm in a good position to try and get stronger and build on stuff. But yeah, it's something to try and if we can all gain something at the end of this, when things do reopen to normal, I think that's a good way of looking at it, you know. Like, and if me trying to be strong, trying to get stronger again now is something that well, there's not as many shows on, and I'm not, you know, doing as much cardio as it would be, you know, because the opportunity of a fight is a lot less likely. So you can take advantage of things like that. And I think if everyone has that attitude, that try and take advantage of the downtime, whether it be even personal things with family, and you know, not working as much, or not traveling as much, or whatever it might be, if we can all take something positive from this, I think it's a much better way of looking at it than complaining about all the stuff we can't do, because we all know it's shit, and that's not going to change, you know. So try and take something positive from it.
I think that's what I've been trying to do. Sorry, Gerald. That's what I've been trying to do since the very start of this, man. Was like I kind of. It sounds weird. I was thinking about it the other day, and it sounds kind of a bit fucking airy-fairy when you say it, like, but it's like, maybe this is exactly what everyone needed. On a positive note, obviously, you know, the negative side is you know, and people are getting sick and people are passing away and whatever. But like, in my own personal experience, like, I was caught up in this fucking rat race of, like, getting up 9 to 5, home, training, bed, shit, sleep, up, like 9 to 5, and it was just this constant go, like, you know. And it was a chance for me to just go, like, relax there. You know what I mean? Like Damo was saying, like, things like, for me, like, sorting me sleep out, sorting my habits out, like, you know, that kind of way. And when you concentrate on the positive sides of it, like, good things do come of it. But if you sit in your house and you're watching the news and you're getting fucking stressed out about everything, like, I mean, that's when the negative thought process starts to creep in, and that's when you start to kind of go, this is shit, can't do that, can't do this. So yeah, like Damo was saying, it's a good chance to keep concentrating on your positive things, keep the good habits, and do what we can, like, you know, that kind of way. Because I don't see it being, don't see it going away anytime soon, like, or being back to normal anytime soon, like, you know.
Yeah, I think when you suddenly had all that free time, well, like freer time, you suddenly, like, you know, for me anyway, we were just kind of, you saw what you wanted to spend your time doing as well, because you had all this free time and you're like, well, what'll I do with it? And like for me, it was still revolved around training and what I could control, I suppose. And then yeah, like a lot of lads I know our sport's different, but a lot of the lads, as you said, they worked on what they could. So you're still kind of trying to control what you can. So we couldn't do a lot of swinging around stuff, I suppose, because we don't have the parks here, but everyone's gotten stronger. But as you say, you could very easily just turn around and be like, oh, this is shit, I can't do X, Y, Z, so I'm not going to bother. But you could see the ones that when you had that free, like for me, I had the free time, and I still wanted to spend that free time invested, I suppose, or involved in the sport that I liked. You know what I mean? I suppose it was the same probably for you then.
Yeah, definitely. I think with sport and even personal life and people's work and everything, it makes people realize, you know, if they really love something or they don't. It really has. Like I've been talking to people that kind of in their jobs or whatever, and then they'd be like, I thought I loved my job, you know, but I think I don't. Actually, no, I don't now, really, in a sense. You know, it was probably just a bit of camaraderie from the people in their job that they actually liked. You know, they thought they liked their job. Now they're kind of, some people are like that. They actually don't like their job now. But even like myself, I still love my job. It's not, you know, that's a definitive answer for myself that yeah, I know that's what I want to do. It's where my passion is, and even the same with sport and kickboxing. It's like yeah, I just wanted to try and get better. Even though it hasn't been a point where I'm like, because there's not a competition, I just want to pack it in, you know. So I think it's definitely whittled down the people that are in it for the right reasons and people that aren't, you know, and everything, all kind of aspects of life. I think it's definitely made people realize if they actually want to do something, or if they're just doing it because they think it's cool or what, you know, whatever, things like that.
You're spot on. I was one of them, man, that was like, you know, obviously working in IT, and like anyone I say that, or anyone I kind of that knows me but doesn't know me, like even the first time I spoke to Austin and I told him that I worked in IT, he, like, his face was like, oh, I thought you worked in sport somewhere. And like kind of, I don't know whether it was like the COVID or that existential crisis of turning 30, like, but it was like kind of like it was something in my brain going like, man, it was itching away at me for a long time, saying like, you know, this isn't you, and eventually that does come to, as Damo says, that whittles you down, and it does eventually come like to a head, you know, that sort of way. And I think it's happened to a lot of people, especially as you were saying, now that they've been given the time to sit on their own and not in that, oh, like I'm in my job because I like my mates and the money's good. But if you're not fundamentally happy with what you're doing, like that can be that, not just in, like, obviously in sport, but like in life, like that can be a serious like head melter, as I would call it, like, you know. So yeah, it was a good time for that. And if people have figured that out, and you see, we were just talking about the two lads before this, like opening the coffee shop, and like you see new little businesses popping up left, right, and center now, like, and that's the backlash of this. Like, we may not have this slave to money thing anymore, like, you know, of just going in, like banging out the 9 to 5 and something that you hate, and kind of pursuing your passion and wanting to do that for the rest of your life, like, you know.
I think like you've seen how obviously with a pandemic, and it's not like they happen very often, but like you can see how easily you can be in something you hate and it can still get taken away from you just like that. Whereas us three, I suppose, you're in something that you love to do, so regardless of something like this happening to you, you're going to try and figure ways around it. You know, you're still going to, right, well, what can I do? Or like, you know, what can I control? Or, you know, how can I improve myself? Whereas if you're in a job that you hate, you're just like, grand, a week off, like, you know.
Yeah.
I think you've probably learned
You
that
just
the last
through
year.
it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then I think like it comes down to the point of, even it's not even like just money, you know, because some people, like, as I said, if you're in a job that you hate and you're just working for a bigger employer, you'll happily sit back and take your 350 a week or whatever and just get on with it. But if you've built up this company that you've got these clientele and you've got this reputation, and then all of a sudden they'll take it away from you, but yeah, they'll tell you, oh, it's all right, you've got your 350 and all, like, you know, but it's not about that. You're destroying the clientele that I've built up over the years, you know, that's been taken away. And then again, the whole lockdown will whittle down numbers that you don't know whether they're all going to come back, because again, like we said, it makes people realize, do they want to do it? Are people in it for the right reasons? And a lot of people aren't. Like, not that they're not in it for the right reasons, they probably aren't in it long enough to realize what the right reasons are. They probably just understand, oh, it's a bit of crack, like, going and, you know, swinging around the bar. They love it, meeting the people that they're training with. They love the social aspect. And then when that's taken away from them, they probably don't really think, like, okay, how can I actually better myself at that? They're just like, it's all or nothing. I'm either going there or I'm not training at all, you know, for them. So you probably lose a lot of them people, you know. And then when things do reopen back up, they probably went another avenue in life. They probably ended up going down playing an instrument or something, you know. It could be anything. So like, you don't know what clientele you're going to get back. So it's when you're in a job that you love, you see it more than just the financial loss. You do see the knock-on effect that it's having as a business, you know. And I know I've lost clientele because of things like that, you know, like I've lost them, and it has a bigger effect than you think, you know. It's not just all financial at the point at the time, you know. You wonder what effect it will have on even the likes of yourselves, girl, with the teaching kids, you know. What will the next generation, what kind of knock-on effect has this year had on the next generation of kind of talent coming up, you know. It's a lot bigger than we think, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you know, that's what you say. Like you said, man, the community, look, I think none of us are in this for money, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's as you say, there is a lot of other aspects for why we're involved in sport. And when you've, like, as you said, like, we've kids with us that only joined kind of last year, and we've lost kids. And like as you said, the community you build is more important to you than like any kind of financial incentive, especially in sport. And as you say, you're more nervous about losing the people that you've built up good relationships with, and you want them to stay involved, and that's bigger than obviously the finance. You know, you need finance to keep everything going, but you want to come back, and hopefully, as you say, long term, if you're trying to develop people and stuff, you need them around long term, and you don't know what effect that'll have on them.
Yeah, definitely.
But you would like to think they'd come back though, wouldn't you? Like, I mean, like even I was talking to one of the lads at work, he runs a martial arts academy out in Balbriggan or something like out that way, like, and he was like, he's worried that, as you were saying, the kids have just started like last year or whatever, 18 months ago, and they're kind of like, oh, you nearly forget how much crack it is, like, you know, that kind of way, and they just get they like, or they're like, whatever happens, their parents like can't afford the gym membership anymore, or whatever, or like, I don't know what's going to happen down the line, like. But there's so many different things that kids can do now, and like, you're kind of hoping that they do go back to what they did do pre-COVID, like, you know. And it's so important. I know we always moan about like our gym's not opening and blah blah blah, but for the kids, man, it's so important for them to be active and doing all these things, like, you know, like, I just hope.
I don't know what it's been like for you. Obviously, with jiu-jitsu and kickboxing is different, but like when you take, like with us, we had kids that would have been in competition, or, you know, lads kind of 17, 18 at that age where you're starting to prepare them for competitions, like, and like the motivation kind of is gone because there's nothing to prepare them for as much, and the training was so different because everyone's like, oh, you just want to keep them involved at the minute. And then, as you said, Damo, long term, you don't know if does that kid come back when things are normal, or. And I suppose it's the same about clubs, man, both sports for you as well. Like, I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm sure every other MMA club or, you know, whatever sport, they're going to think one, they're the same. Yeah,
I'm sure there will be a big gap. A big gap in like in the next few years. You kind of wonder if we'll see the drop in levels, even the, you know, or the new wave of talent coming through. You wonder what kind of knock on it will have, because you kind of get kids that are in that phase of just becoming senior or becoming elite, if you want to say. And then it is quite hypocritical that grassroots and other sports can't continue, but elite level can. I know from a safety point of view, it's okay, you know, it's easier to kind of bubble people off if that's their living. But it is quite hypocritical that, you know, you're kind of dangling, you know, the carrot in front of the people. You're letting them see what they want to be, but then they can't even train, can't even practice. You know, it's just like it's very hard on them. Like so yeah, you kind of get people getting fed up, I suppose, and just giving up. So I wonder will we see it? And then even from the point of view that there's like people are like semi pro, like especially in Ireland, we're just not a country that are really good at funding athletes or supporting our own athletes, you know, from government in comparison to other countries. Like in kickboxing, we compete against countries that are you know getting millions of like a kickboxing organization will be getting millions of government funding, you know, whether it be 2 million for a country that's relatively small, and then they'll be giving out financial incentives if you bring back a medal, kind of like the high performance in the boxing over here. You know, so we're not very good at doing that kind of stuff in Ireland, which makes it even harder, I suppose, for people to want to stay in the sport. You know, it's already hard enough. So when you go through times like this, I think it's very easy for people to want to drop out of a sport, and the financial incentives and things like that aren't even there that you are in other countries. You know, at a semi-pro level or a high level amateur. In Ireland, we're quite poor at looking after those elite amateurs, if you want to say. They're just on the cusp of becoming pro or getting bigger opportunities, but if we can't hold on to them or fund them enough from the government, we'll definitely lose them during times like this, you know.
Yeah,
I wasn't planning on talking about that, but when you said that, like, you know, obviously you've gone to a lot of world events, and you know, I qualified last year and I contacted the sports partnership for funding and all, and it was like, oh no, there wouldn't be anything in the budget for that kind of thing. And I was just like, but you spent, and then they'd asked us to go to an event and they told me that they'd spent $5,000 on this inflatable welcome sign. And I'm just like, you know, like you, Damo, man, I'm sure, like, if they offered you X amount, like a grant or something, and it was like, in return, will you go into a school, tell the kids about your experience, provide some training, I'm sure you'd happily do it, you know, that way. And it would have a much bigger long-term knock-on effect for kids in our area, for the sport in the area. If their remit's supposed to be increased participation, get people like you going back to schools that you were involved in exchange for that. That's going to do more, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And it's such a, like, you see it with the high performance boxing, like look at the results now. There's a European or a world event, like there's an Irish boxer on every podium, like, you know, they're always medaling, they're always bringing back things. But it's a real hypocritical thing. It's like you're not going to get any funding until you bring a medal back, but it's like, how can I get there without funding? You know, you won't get any funding off the sport council until you bring your medals back. That's the way they kind of see it. But it's like, how can we compete against the other countries that are getting funding? You know, how can we bridge that gap? So like the proof is there with the high performance boxing. Like they start giving grants out, and the lads are trying it full time, and the results are there. You can start to be seeing. So if they can do that in other sports, obviously we know it has to start small, and especially when things aren't Olympic sports, you know, it's hard. But if they can start putting some funding in, it's going to give good results back in long term. Just it will come back in. It'll get more kids involved, as you said. It's like the women's campaign. You know, if you can't see it, you can't want to be it. It's very, very true. Like, so I think if you can get more exposure, it will come full circle. So hopefully the Irish government will definitely start giving out more funding to sport, especially during times like this. I think everyone realizes how important physical training is, no matter what the sport is, no matter if it's an Olympic sport or it's not, or you know, it's very recognized or not. If people are participating in it, I think they should definitely try and push some more funding towards every sport, because from the mental side of things and physical side of things now, I think we can see how important it is during the pandemic. You know, I think they definitely need to push more money towards it.
Because
for overall health as well, isn't it? Like,
like a lot of the sports partnerships obviously are given funding, but it's kind of how they distribute it. Like they've been brilliant with me. I can't turn around and kind of be slating them here, but the likes of you, man, like who's gone to world events, like if you walk into a school and you tell them that that's your experience, it's like you said, like success will attract participation. So if you're like, for them, if they can turn around and go, look, would you do this in exchange or whatever? Like, and their remit is supposed to just be very basic, increase physical activity. You going into a school and talking about that would have a much longer, bigger, long-term effect on their, go for a walk around Kilbogga there, and that's what they claim is increasing physical activity. Like,
and you want to be told by someone that's doing it. You know, that's how I always feel, even from a coaching point of view. It's like, I'm not going to tell someone to do that. You know, if I haven't tried it, attempted it myself, you know, I want to have a bit of empathy when I'm trying to explain things to people. Or, you know, it's the same with just stories in general. If you're trying to motivate someone, you want to have attempted things yourself. You don't always have to have succeeded it, but you want to have definitely attempted it. I think people will listen to you a lot more. And like you were saying about the sign, the $5,000 sign that they'll tell you they spent, you know, on at an event, but yet they won't give you any funding. It's like when we go to World Championships or European Championships, they're all self-funded, you know. So like it's like last year, so it's 2019 now. Last year was a write-off as far as the Europeans, but the Worlds we did before, it's self-funded, so it's all self-funded. So we paid over $1,000 myself just to go. So you dig into your own pocket, you pay it. You have to take time off work, you know, you have to go. So it's all self-funded now. This is at the amateur World Championships now. When I say amateur, it's the highest level there is, you know, at the WACO Worlds, but it's all self-funded in Ireland, you know. And again, you're coming up against the likes of Russia, and you're coming up against the likes of Serbia, Poland, all these people that are funded, you know. They don't have to put their hand in their pocket. And then that's only the one event. That's only the one event where we go to the Worlds, but they're getting the same treatment all year round at that level. So they don't put their hand in their pocket for any event. They might necessarily get paid. All of them are getting paid to fight, to compete, but they're getting practice run-outs every month, every 2 months. So it's like they're getting paid to go to, they're going to go to Athens and they're going to compete in the Athens Open or whatever it might be, or they're going to go to Rimini and they're going to fight, and all these kind of things. They're constantly just traveling every 2 months as a team and getting to compete, and they don't have to put their hand in their pocket. Whereas we don't. We compete in the Irish Open maybe, and then because it's in Ireland, and again you got international opposition, and then that'll probably be our only international fight. We're waiting then till the Worlds, because again we have to put our hand in our pocket every time, take time off work, and it's hard to compete at that level. So a little bit of funding will go a long way, you know. And you don't want to be getting exactly paid, but you just like to not have to put your hand in your own pocket. And again, I think that's enough to bridge the gap. You'll definitely start seeing more people on podiums and things like that. And it kind of takes someone to take one for the team and just try and push through that kind of phase where there isn't any funding, get a medal, then start really trying to push for funding. And I think like Katie Taylor and those, you know, boxers were the bridging gap for Irish boxing, and look at the results now. With the high performance team, and I think kickboxing even needs that. Just speaking from a kickboxing point of view, needs something like that. I'd be more than happy to kind of hopefully be that kind of person, you know, go away next year, whenever the Worlds are back, you know, this year, next year, the Europeans, whatever, and try and chase a medal and bridge that gap as best as possible. But it's definitely hard when you're dealing with against opposition that are constantly getting funded, and the Irish opposition government, you know, Sporting Council aren't really giving you anything to work towards. You're constantly putting your hand in your pocket, you know.
Yeah, look,
I think it's important as well. Sorry, go away.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask you, was it Simon Jiu-Jitsu and all as well? Like Dara funds a lot of his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, the lads are, they're like all the pros are all. They obviously, like, I mean, there's obviously sponsorship deals out there, and like they get money to when they win the big tournaments. But like now they're all self-funded. Flights, accommodation is all, like, you know, that sort of way. But just going back to Damo's point there, like if you look at what Love Merhead, you look at what Conor McGregor done, or what Katie Taylor's done for their specific sports, like it kind of inspires younger Irish people to be like, oh, I can do that. I don't have to follow that, path of school, college, work. The sort of way. That's not. Some people don't want to do that. Like, and I think that our generation were caught in that sort of loop. The younger people now can see, like, oh, I'm good at this. I can make a living of it. And if you look at Conor McGregor, imagine there was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Conor McGregors in different aspects of not just martial arts, but like we used to look up to football players when we were younger and think, oh, I'd love to do that. But like, I mean, it kind of, the more there is and the more funding there is in those specific areas, the more hope for younger kids that maybe aren't as good in school, but they're dedicated to their sport. They train every day. They want to do it, but they don't see a path. Like Damo was saying, you might have to go to the Europeans and medal just to get a bit of funding. Like, sort of way. It's like, so the more role models, and probably what I'm trying to say is the more role models in specific sports we have, the more these younger kids that maybe aren't like I'm no way fucking an idiot, but I hated school. Like, Gary, you were in school, me, like, I think, like, I just me in school just never saw eye to eye. Like, I just didn't like it. But I was never told, like, you can do.
Like.
Yeah, like, and it was like I think, like, the only subject I liked was history, and that was the only one I ever really like kind of put my mind to. Like, so school just isn't for some people, and especially kids in the borough, especially around where we are. Like, it's like some kids just fucking hate school and they just don't see it, but they could be unbelievable at boxing, or unbelievable at kickboxing, or unbelievable at jiu-jitsu. So it's important for them to see that path, like Damo was saying, of like, oh, like, yeah, my teacher's saying, I'm not going to do anything in the education sector, but like, I mean, I could make a living off me, like Damo saying, make a living off me kickboxing, or like making a living off me sport, like, so I think that's important to see that path, like,
Yeah, school just teaches you to like hate something Monday to Friday from 9 to 5, like, and then but yeah, so like, Dan, obviously, man, you've mentioned there some of the like the worlds and stuff and the events you've been involved. You know your record better than me, man. Like, what is your record? Because every time I see you have about 6 belts around you.
Yeah, so like, it started with kickboxing in general. Kickboxing is it's very broad. There's loads of different styles and stuff. It's it's trying to explain it to someone. It is hard. When someone says kickboxing, it can mean anything, and that's one thing with kickboxing, and that's why it's hard when we're trying to make it. It's on the way to getting Olympic recognition, things like that. But it's hard to when you say kickboxing, it's not just one thing. When you say boxing, everyone knows what it is. It's boxing, right? There's only boxing. Even with a lot of sports, it's similar. But kickboxing is very broad, so there's loads of different styles. And under the kickboxing bracket are hidden. There's people can do kickboxing and not actually ever fight. They can be musical forms that they could do, so that in a sense that'd be somewhat nearly similar enough to what you would do with the calisthenics. It's kind of it's how pleasing is it to watch, and how pleasing on the eye is it, and it gets judged on things like that. But that's still under the kickboxing hidden. So then there's semi-contact, which is like points fighting, so it's stop and start, kind of karate kind of style. Like in the Karate Kid, first person to touch or score, land a scoring shot, stop. So there's that style of fighting. Then there's light contact, which is on the mats. It's not full contact. You're not allowed to hit very hard, but it's continuous fighting. You're not allowed just throwing haymakers, but it's continuous fighting. And then you move to the ring. So it's in the ring is where all the full contact and knockouts and stuff are allowed. So there's full contact kickboxing, and that's where I started. I started doing light contact when I was younger. So it's continuous fighting. It is a fight. If you're looking at it from outside, you understand it is a fight. It's two people scrapping on the mats, but you will get warned for punching really hard and kicking really hard. If you're seen to lose your control, you'll get warned for that. So that's the difference with light contact. And that's where I started. And then I moved into full contact, which is in the ring. So that's where knockouts are allowed. Everything has to be really hard and strong to be a score. You can't just tip someone and get a score. So that's where I started. My kind of senior kickboxing career was in full contact, and in the full contact you wear pants, so it's more full length pants. So you're wearing actual trousers. and you've got padding on your feet, so you've got boots and shin pads on. So that's the full contact style of kickboxing that I done. So I won numerous kind of national titles, 5 nation titles, European titles, world titles in full contact. Just from the age of 17 when I had my first kind of senior fight up till I think it was 24. It was 24 when I fell out of love with full contact, and again I accumulated a lot of different national titles over different organizations. It's kind of similar to boxing. You've got IBF, WBA, WBO, WBC. Everyone wants a piece of the pie, so you're never going to get one organization. If there's money to be made by organizers and promotions, they're all going to try and get some, so they're all going to have their own belts. So it was kind of all over different associations that had those titles. I had Irish titles in the IKF, ISKA, WACO, European titles in ISKA, world titles in the ISKA. So I think that's where I had on my full contact belts. And then the reason why I fell out of love with full contact was the K1 is another style of kickboxing. Again, it's more kicks to the legs, knees, and that was just becoming a lot bigger on the scene. So when it was the full contact scene was just getting a lot smaller. Everyone around the borough and everyone around was just doing a lot more K1, and it was just shrinking, and the full contact scene. And I was falling out of love with it because I couldn't prepare properly. I was going away to international events and just getting smoked, and then you're feeling very frustrated. You're just like, I know I just can't give the best account of myself in this sport anymore, and I just fell out of love with it. So that was the full contact. I was done, packed it in with that, and then I started in K1, and it was literally, even though it's still under that kickboxing heading, as I say, it's a total different sport, totally different. It was kicks to the legs, and for anyone that's never been kicked in the leg, which that was me. It's a serious wake up call. You think like, oh, I have this down. I have this fucking spinny shit down. Again, my legs are great, like, and I feel very confident in them. And then you get a kick in the leg, like, and you're like, my fucking whole life has been a lie. It's like everything I've learned is just been a lie. Like, it can be taken out of the equation very, very quickly with just kicking the leg, which I used to think was not even skillful. Anyone can kick, like kicking a football. Like, I can kick someone in the leg. It's like, it's not. That's the stupidity and the ignorance that I had years ago. And then K1 started becoming big, so I said, right, I'll jump in and start doing K1, and I loved it. It's like just starting a new sport. You're learning something new every day. It's just constant learning, and I just embraced myself on that, and I was loving it. And I was starting to train that for probably about a year, and then I just said, right, I'll just start fighting then, and I just went straight in. Went straight into fighting pro at that level, because again, I've been right at the highest level of amateur full contact kickboxing, so I knew I had the skills to fight pro domestically. I knew I was even above most of the people fighting pro domestically, but the people that were willing to fight pro domestically were just mad enough to fight without shin pads on. Technically, they weren't great. Like, I was looking at them, and they're not great, but yeah, they're mentally strong enough and mad enough to get in there and fight without shin pads on. That was the only difference between amateur and pro, to be quite honest. And then I was like, right, I know we can do it. So I had my first pro fighting was March 2016. A very controversial loss, but it got me name out there. People started paying attention straight away, because it was this guy just throwing spinny kicks, and that wasn't really seen in K1, because people were getting their legs kicked, And again, if I had started in K1, I probably never would have developed spinning kicks. But because I came from a taekwondo background when I was only 4, I developed those kind of kicks over my life, and then I was able to bring them into K1, and it got people's attention. People were entertained by the fights, So it was great to have a contrast in style, and it got a bit of attention to me. Second fight, then I had a kind of spectacular knockout then with a spinning kick that got a lot more attention again, and people kind of recognised my name then from that time onwards, and really domestically, and then we've had ups and downs the whole time. Wins and losses, and titles here, title losses there, but it's because I'm fighting 50-50 fights all the time, and it's not like it's not like pro boxing where you're fighting journeymen. You don't get journeymen in kickboxing. You don't get them because they'll be found out, you know. So it's impossible to get a journeyman in kickboxing. People don't want to go in there and get their legs chewed up or their head kneed off, you know. So people aren't going to be in there, you know, just to shell up and be a journeyman. So they're constantly 50-50 fights, and most of my losses have, as I said, they've been controversial, or else they've been I've been in away territory, taking a last minute fight, you know, going to enemy territory, going to Switzerland, the fight on short notice, going to Sheffield, the fight on short notice, going to Dubai, the fight on relatively short notice, and they're all hometown fighters. You're fighting the guy that's running the show is usually their coach, and they have the backing of the whole event. And there's where me I've had 5 losses professionally and 9 wins. So you know, it's been an up and down road, but you know, the way I look at it is the records, in a sense, don't define how good I am. Your record doesn't fight for you when you have to get in there. So as far as the record professionally with K1, it's 9 wins, 5 losses. But as I said, I've probably had over 150 fights more, to be quite honest, throughout my whole life, with amateur fights through Taekwondo, full light contact kickboxing, full contact kickboxing, and K1. You know, I've been competing since I probably about 8 in Taekwondo all the way up to now. You know, so I've probably had over 150 fights realistically, but everyone doesn't keep them on paper. It really is the only thing that's on paper, and people seem to keep record of is your pro record. Win K1. So that's 9 wins and 5 losses currently. But as I said, 3 losses going to enemy territory, and then 2 losses here domestically, that are quite controversial, to be honest. But it's that's my record, and that's the breakdown on myself.
You said there, man, like you obviously I knew anyway, but like the fact you're doing Taekwondo for so long, and then when you moved into something obviously similar but slightly different, you felt like the kicks you'd learned from Taekwondo you were able to bring in. Eatho, like obviously me and you like played football growing up as well, but like me and you moved into something.
Don't even ask me my fucking record after asking Damo. Don't even, I thought you were gonna say ask me what I've done after Damo. Just
no, you're all right, mate.
Crease the two of us, like
we had a successful athlete talk about his record. That's enough, like.
yeah.
But me and you grew up obviously like interested in football, and then I suppose later found other things, whereas Damo seemed to quite early on find something. Do you think, like, you know, do you think early specialization or late specialization are important? Which one? Or do you think it's like an individual thing? Eatho, you can answer that.
Thanks, mate. I think it's I always say that probably the worst thing anyone said to me was that I was good at football at such a young age, because like I just stuck with that then. You know what I mean? Like I think obviously I started jiu-jitsu like for like when I was 25, 20, whatever it was. So like everyone always says, oh, I wish I'd started when I was younger, but maybe that was just the time that you know what I mean, like I needed to start. Like in terms of like elite level, like Damo, like obviously I have no real experience of being an elite athlete like Damo is, but like I mean, in my opinion, yeah, like I mean, the earlier you start and the earlier you get those hours in, it's gonna help. Like, you know what I mean? Like Damo was saying, even about like traveling to competitions, just getting used to it. Like, you know what I mean? He was saying about spinning kicks, like he's been doing that since he was 4. Like, I mean, if I was to try and do that now, I'd probably rip me hip, like, you know, that sort of way, or like, you know, that kind of way. But his body is just built for that. And I think even with me with the running, like I wouldn't say I'm on like a high level, but I'm decent. I can run, like, you know what I mean, and I can run well. And that's no coincidence, and it's, I don't think it's any coincidence that my best race is a half marathon, which lasts for me in and around 90 minutes, which is probably a football match, 90 minutes. So yes, like I think early specialization and early just getting those, what did I say, 10,000 hours in, like I mean, it helps, of course it does. Doesn't mean that you can't learn new shit though. You know what I mean? Like even like I knew going into jiu-jitsu I wasn't going to be a world champion. Doesn't mean I can't do it. Like, I mean, you know yourself, Gero, like you started, when did you start your, I'm not even going to say that word because, you know, I can't say.
Try.
Calisthenics. Did I get it right?
You.
Fucking get in there. I'm leaving, actually. But like, you started when we were quite young, and you kind of just, like, you just dedicated your life to it. Like, you know, like, all of a sudden you were just hanging out a fucking stop signs.
Yeah, well, like,
you know what I mean?
I'd be late because I was 22, 23 when I started, but it was just like, once I got into it, and probably because I had a background of something else, I just kind of realised the difference between liking something and loving something, like.
Yeah.
But Damo, you probably, I don't know, like, you might have found that earlier. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, if you were doing Taekwondo from 4, you'd have a different experience of that idea.
Yeah, and like, again, I think a lot of it comes down to parents, to be honest, because I wasn't mad on it, and I didn't love it all the time. You know, it's weird. It is weird. You know, like, it's definitely, you definitely need a bit of a push from your parents. You know, if you're gonna be a kid and you want to kind of start something young, you definitely need a push from your parents, you know, and you need them to be quite stern sometimes. You know, you need them to not let you
Be lazy.
not go when you don't want to go, you know, because it's very easy. Like, I was shocking at football, shocking, but I used to love it. But I loved it, you know. Like, if you had a lot of the time now, to be honest, if you had given me the option, like on a summer's day, do you want to stay outside and play football with the lads, or do you want to go to taekwondo training? Well, there was no way I was going to taekwondo training. You know, we wanted to stay outside and play football with the lads, even though it was fucking hopeless. I still, that's what I wanted to do because it was cool. But my mum and dad would always just drag me to training. You know, you're going to training, that was it. So it just became a habit. So as much as you know, I've been at it since I'm 4. I didn't always love it. You know, I didn't love it at all. And then again, the point of view of actually fighting, even never mind the training. The training was enjoyable when I was there, even though I mightn't wanted to have went. But the thoughts of fighting, like, you know, because again, like, where I grew up, like, I'm not gonna say you grew up rough, you know, like, my parents always fucking took care of us, so they never had to want for anything. They were never well off by any means. Probably all from borrowed money most of the time, you know, fucking loans here and there just to keep me happy. But it was never a rough area. But the thoughts of a fight, like, no matter, even though I've done and even still to this day, even though I'm doing martial arts since 4 years of age, I've been brought up well, and a fight is totally different. You know, an actual fight, like getting in there and getting punched in the face, like, it was always a shock, even when I was 4. You know, like, from 4 up, it was a massive shock. Any kind of confrontation or an actual fight, physical fight. So I hated that, absolutely hated that as a kid. It was just like the last thing I wanted to do was a fight. But yeah, I love watching TV. You know, watching Power Rangers. You know, all these kind of TV programs that had martial arts in them. So, like, that's what I love.
Power Ranger, like, wow.
Yeah, Power Ranger, the White Ranger. You have to be the White Ranger. Tell Tommy. So it was the Power Ranger. It was things like that that got me to love it. But I hated the physical fighting aspect. It was not a thing. But again, it was the combination of being pushed by my parents. And now, you know, it was just hard love, and it just taught me. I think it just teaches you good etiquette and good, you know, just good kind of habits for life. Like, it's, you sometimes you just have to turn up and do it, even though you don't want to do it. You can't just turn up when you want to turn up, you know. So I'm very grateful to my parents for that they just brought me and forced me into realizing that training was a part of everyday life, and it helps, obviously, you know, all that early kind of early training, things like that. The amount that you think about the hours, like you say, 10,000 hours to master something, and obviously the earlier you start, the more of advantage you have over the competition. But you can't let the kid decide if he loves it or not at that age. I believe, you know, they can't be crying every day for 3 years, because then that's obviously they don't like it that much. You know, there has to be a want there to do it. But I think they still need the backing of a parent at that age to push them. But it wasn't until the last, like, you know, till I would have been 16, probably 15, 16, where I really started wanting to do it myself, and actually loving it, and actually really enjoying it. You definitely needed that push from early on from the parents, I think, for to get that balance. And then it's individuals are very different as well. You get someone that's a kid and they're a kid, they're a child prodigy, and you think, oh, they're gonna be great, but sometimes they're mentally worn out by the time they become 15, and then they're sick, they rebel against the sport, they're gone. But then you get other people that might only start when they're 15 or 16 and just, have the good genetics, be physically fit and strong, and they might just excel. And, like you see that all the time, and they're mentally fearless in a sense, because they haven't been around sport for so long, but so they're just jumping straight in the deep end and just getting stuck in. And you see rapid progression, to be honest, from some people that start sports late. But they usually need to have some sort of genetic freakish attributes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that, like, do you think like certain characteristics like suit certain sports? Like Damo, I would imagine for kickboxing, obviously, I don't know, but potentially like longer limbs gives you an advantage, or
Yeah. I was always, even from, and I think that's why I hated it from a kid. I was always fat. I was always like stubby, and I was always getting in against kids that are like fucking looking down on you. You're like, how the hell is he? Minus 69 kilos, like, and so I think from having long limbs and being thin is a massive attribute, and reach in kickboxing, and that was something that I didn't have on my side when I was younger. I think that was hard. I think that's another reason why I didn't. I used to love eating my chocolate cake and things like that. So I think that's I think that was the reason why I didn't like fighting when I was younger, because I was a little fat shit. But yeah, definitely being longer is a massive attribute. But ultimately, like I said, it's not a natural thing for a human being to want to be hit. It's just not natural whatsoever, like, to want to be hit and to be able to deal with that well. So it's,
man,
in kickboxing,
I remember, I remember when I was in China, like, and they used to put you in like they're Chinese kickboxing sanda, like we do that, and
yeah.
Remember, like, this Israeli fella that would be fighting, and like I was good at the technique, but I'm not an aggressive person, like, so I'd catch him with a kick in the leg and I'd be apologizing, like. Yeah. Whereas, and he'd literally killed people, like he'd been in an army and stabbed people, like, and I'd kick him and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and he's like, that's all right, he didn't want to kill me, like, and I just like, it just wasn't in my nature, I suppose, at all, like.
Yeah, and I think I'm the exact same, and I'm still like that to this day. Like, obviously, there's a killer instinct there when you're in competition and you see a weakness and you see someone hurting, the killer instinct there to finish them. But getting in there, I'm not an aggressive person at all. Like, and I think it just comes from your upbringing. But it's not a natural thing to want to be hit. So in kickboxing, you could have all the tall limbs, and you could have all the attributes. But ultimately, if you don't like being hit, which nobody does at first, it kind of, you definitely have to have that push and that mentality that you just want to be good at something. You have to have that stubbornness that you just want to keep trying until I'm good at this, because you can have all the attributes you want, but if you get a smack and then you don't want to have any of that, your attributes are useless. So I think you have to have that stubbornness that you want to just be better at something. And if you get stuck in kickboxing, you just want to, just knuckle down and practice every day in order to be better. That has to be there, because it's definitely a sport that you can't just be in it for the fun, because then it comes to getting a smack, and it's that everyone knows that's no crack, so you have to want to be the best, you have to want to just be the best person that you can be at that sport, and that just involves a bit of hard work. So as much as the attributes you have to have the mentality for it, because it's not always fun,
Gerald, sorry, I'm not your podcast, but I'm going to ask a question to the two of you. Just completely taking over the question. No, the thing that Damo mentioned there was a bit like that. It was the mentality side of it, like, and I mean, something that I struggled with for years was nearly getting in my own way, like, like in my head, like I knew my body was prepared, I was fit, I knew how to do whatever I was doing, whether it was like jiu-jitsu or playing football or whatever, but I would get me on way nearly. My head would get in the way of my performance, and only up until maybe 2 years and less, like
where I just started to go, you know what, like, and I noticed it last year, in a race that I done where I was like, wasn't really thinking too much about it, and Matthew was bringing me in the car into the race, and had no watch or anything, and I was just like to her, whoever's winning this race, I'm just gonna fucking leg it after him. And that was all. That's all I was gonna do. Like, so like for you lads, was it especially like, it's really important, that mental side of it, to kind of need to get out of your own way and just be comfortable in that situation of being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Dealing with that stress, that high arousal before a game or before the competition or whatever. Like, is it something that you lads worked on?
That was my next question anyway. It was like, do you regard physical or mental as more important? So
I think, yeah, a bit of both. But I'm the same as yourself. I've lost fights before the fights start. And again, like, I don't mind saying that. Like, it's not like it's not something I'm gonna hold close to my chest, because again, like, it's not like I've learned from those experiences, you know, and I'm hoping every time I go again, I'm hoping that's not gonna happen then again. I'm hoping I've learned from that experience, you know. But I've definitely, the mentality point of view and the sports psychology point of view, I've I've definitely had weaknesses in those areas, and I've definitely lost fights because of me, my mind frame not being right, and not being 100% there at that time and in the moment, and psyching myself out. But again, you learn from those experiences, and they build character. You know, I find they definitely have built me to be a stronger person, and just an overall human being, just to be mentally a lot stronger. You know, through hard times, and just in life in general. But like, there's been a few experiences where I've been away. You know, you're sitting there just scrolling through your phone, at pointless shit on social media. You see things his friends are saying. You see things that, you know, about to fight tomorrow, and you're just psyching yourself out. And that's just, you know, it's really bad that you allow things like that to happen. You know, and I've learned from experiences like that. But like I said, you know, I've had three losses on the road, and they've all been 5-round title fights, and they've all been in people's back gardens, and you're just kind of like, fucking, you're nervous already. It's only me and the coach over there. It's very lonely. Like, some experiences we've had have been quite tough, but again, they're really character building. You know, like, I was in Switzerland at that time, just me and the coach, snowing, like a Rocky film, fucking snowing outside. No one speaking English. Nobody. Like, I've never been to a country where, like, nobody spoke English. Like, usually they can all speak a bit of English, but nobody spoke English there. They're all speaking German. And like, just walking around the snow for that the morning of the fight, trying to find somewhere that done breakfast, you know, just looking around trying to find something. Just it was real lonely, just me and the coach. And then we get collected to go to the venue. We get collected at 2:00, and we dropped off at the venue. The venue again's in the middle of nowhere in the snow. They're selling hot dogs in the shop. That's, you know, and coffee, and that's it. But we didn't fight then till 1:45 that night. So we were the main event. We were there from 2:00 to 1:45 that night. Nobody speaking English. You just every now and again run out of the dressing room, go down to see what fight they're on. But the English is very limited. But again, that was extremely lonely, you know. And then again, like, I had lost before I got in the second ring, you know. I was just completely psyched out. It was a really intimidating experience, you know. But again, it was the kind of competitor in me wanted to jump on the opportunity to go over there and challenge for the world title, and, you know, against a guy, like, I think he had something like 60 pro fights at the time, something like 53 wins, something like 40 knockouts. You know, it was a savage record at the time, and I think it was my third pro fight or something like that. You know, it was very, very inexperienced at the time in K1, but I just jumped on it, the opportunity. But again, I'd psyched myself out. It was my first 5-round fight, and I was like, do not gas out. That was the main thing. That was my main attitude. It'd be like you doing your first race. Don't gas out. That is your biggest fear, is gassing out. That is the biggest fear I've ever had in my head, is gassing out in a fight and being out on my feet and being finished then. So I started like a snail, just hoping to not gas out. I'm sure the fight was over. Your man had won rounds 1, 2, 3. You know, winded me in round 3. I was playing catch up, and I was gone. I was out of the fight completely. You know, so again, that was a massive mental learning experience. But I'm not as strong as I should be mentally. and again, it's the type of person I am. I've found that over the years. Whether it be even being aggressive, some people are really aggressive in the ring, and that's their personality and their experience, and that's how they are. I'm not that kind of person. Some people are really mentally confident, but they just don't have the skills to back it up. So some people, mental strength is just like physical strength in a sense. Some people have the attributes, but it always doesn't. Make you a good fighter or a good athlete. But I'm definitely mentally. I've lost fights, 100%. I can hold my hands up and say I've lost that before I even stepped in the ring. But again, you just hope it doesn't happen again, and it does build character, and you get more experience. And that last fight in Dubai, that wasn't the case whatsoever. I felt very comfortable over there, it was more of an illegal kick in the face on the ground at the second round that done me in. But get that one in there. But that was more the fact that psyched me out. Then I felt grand physically. I was performing really well up until that point. So I think, like, again, you mentally learn, So unless you put yourself in those positions that you're going to be mentally tested and you're going to be shitting yourself, you're not going to learn. You're not going to get better at it. But mentally, it's just as much as physically, to be honest. When you're at a high level, like it really is as important. It is the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, exactly. I'd 100% just regard any comp I've done, whether I've won or whether I've lost. It's mentally, like, literally, if I've won, it's because mentally I've handled it. If I've lost, it's because I fucked up in my head. Like sometimes we'd have comps, and like you're probably the same, man. Like when you're fighting someone, you're not. I don't think you're comparing yourself to your man. If he catches you with something, you're more annoyed at yourself or something. For us, if I don't go for a big move in a competition, like, and even actually just interesting, one of the lads last week said it to me, he's like, he won a competition, but he didn't go for, your hardest move, or in your case might be a kick. And he was like, he came out of the competition disappointed because it still wasn't his best performance. So for us, I think, like, just me personally, but yeah, any competition, whether I've won or whether I've lost, it's been like a mental response to that. Yeah,
like you were saying there, Eatho, about Garo, about not going for a move. Like it could be, like, again, I'm not 100% sure how the calisthenic world of competition will work, but it'd be like, say, if you're going before someone and the guy that might be going after you was supposed to be better on paper, you might. But you need to pull that move off if you have any chance of beating him. But at the same time, you might want to play it safe in case you slip off the bar. It's like, I'm just probably going to play it safe here and just see. But you mightn't get into the next round if you do play it safe, because he's going to come out and he's going to go out and attempt it. And the same in a race, even Ethan. Again, it could be
Ethan.
Or your man ahead of me is going to be. He's going to set off at this pace, but. I don't want to gas. It's fear of gassing again. So I'm just going to pace it a little bit more because I'm just fearful of gassing. But your man's just been brave enough to attempt that pace, and he's just going to lead the way, and he might have that mental strength. And if you're never going to work to your actual potential because you just don't have the mental strength to push yourself for long enough. Like,
yeah, 100%. It was actually the one that I spoke with there. I was like, I'm just going to leg it after the fella who's winning. I ended up finishing third in it. And I spoke to your man that won it after. I was about 30 seconds behind him, and it was that thing of, I probably should have caught him. The way afterwards you're like, I should have. I definitely had more. And I spoke to him after, and he was like, I said, I couldn't get you, blah blah blah. And it was like, he was first, man, finished second. It was a bit wobbly, but he was behind them, but he just had a good start. And then obviously it was myself, and I said to him after, and he goes, look, he didn't push me, I was goosed. And I was like, oh, because I knew I had more in me. But I think after, we always do that, don't we? We're always really self-critical, instead of being like, oh, well done, I've done well there.
Yeah.
You kind of go, I should have done that, even, I think I said to you before, Garo, about I'd done one of the ultras I'd done, mentally before, it was absolutely just done, and I knew in my head that I shouldn't have been there doing it. But I just said to myself, I'm here now, I'm gonna go and get it done. But it's kind of getting that balance of, I probably shouldn't have done it. and it fucked me for a while after it. Like, you know, my body was goosed. But just your mind can push yourself through an awful lot of shite, like, you know, like whether it's sport or anything else, like, but yeah, we're very self-critical. So I think like it is important to be like, you know, sometimes to just take stock of the good things we've done in even if you lost a fight or like didn't perform well or whatever it is. It's important to take the positives away as well, isn't it? Like,
there's a
Yeah,
thing
definitely.
there's a thing in psychology where, you know, like competition is viewed as a threat, but you'll either like get excited at the thought of winning, or you're more focused on the fear of failing. And like everyone I've kind of spoke to would, once they hear that, you know, they're like, yeah, I'm definitely the first one or I'm the second one. And like for ones that I know that like get more excited about the thought of winning, you know, you're trying to tap into them. Like, well, how do you perceive it that way? Or
Yeah, it definitely comes. I definitely find it peaks and troughs, and even it might even peak and trough through the training camp and through the fight week. You know, you definitely have negative thoughts that creep in. You try and banish them, but you know, they're always there. They're always that devil in your shoulder, just trying to get into your head. But yeah, it's weird. We done a bit of sports psychology in college as well, and same kind of thing. It's like what is it? Anxiety. And the difference between anxiety and nerves. Yeah, nerves are when you perceive it as a threat, it's more nerves. You know, anxiety is good. You know, you get anxious up for an event if you're just excited about it. But nerves can be when you're perceiving it as a threat. And again, like or what creates your nerves? Is it fear of failing, or is it fear of being hurt, or is it, you know? And for me, it's always fear of failing. Always fear of failing. Never ever is it like fear of being hurt. Like, never once do I go into a ring going like, oh geez, this lad might hurt me, like, or he's gonna hit me with this and it might actually hurt. It's not even a thought. It's always fear of failure. Like, oh, what if I lose? Like, fucking hell, like, you know, so and so is in the crowd, or, you know, they're gonna think. And even from a visualization point of view, when I'm running the fight over in my head, it's always from an outside point of view. I'm always looking from a spectator looking at the ring. It's never like I'm never looking through my own eyes and my visualization. So it's always, we have like external thoughts of what people think, you know, which is always funny. Like, it's great just seeing. Again, it's always interesting, it intrigues me, you know. I never worked with a sports psychologist enough to try and improve on them things, but just the journey of life and just the skill of life has just got me better at it. But it's a really interesting subject.
you feel
sorry,
like with you, Damo, like you'd probably feel the weight of, you know, the Irish kickboxing community when you were competing. Like, I'm the same. When I go abroad, I kind of know anyone who's into calisthenics over here, I'm almost representing. So that kind of fear of failure, as opposed to just, I don't really care if I lose. You know what I mean? Like, the lads that we work with at the minute for competitions at that kind of 16, 17, 18, it's just about getting them not to be worried about failing, but more just go for your big stuff. And if you fail, it doesn't matter. And then eventually, like later on, yeah, like we'll focus on the winning. But at the minute, it's just getting over that psychological thing. Like,
yeah, definitely. There's two ways you can kind of look at it. You can kind of look at it like, we're from Ireland, like, we're not supposed to fucking win anyway. You know, there's that kind of mentality that some people might have. But yeah, I definitely see it the other way in a sense, and I feel like, yeah, like if I don't improve, you know, the Irish K1 scene, and if I don't try and bridge gaps for the next people coming through or whatever it might be, I try and get more eyes on the sport. I've like done the sport and injustice nearly, you know, and I want to try and, you know, improve it. You know, I don't want to just use that as it's because we're from Ireland, you know, and like going back to the same with the full contact, when I was fighting full contact kickboxing, that's the reason why I left it. Like, because it was like, I'm not gonna fucking do this. I'm not gonna, you know, do this dance year after year and then complain that, you couldn't do it because, you know, I'm not gonna be that man on the fucking bar still telling you like, I couldn't do it because I was Irish. Like, I know that's the fucking facts, and the funding wasn't there. and the training wasn't there for me to get to that next level in that sport. So I just said, fuck, I'm gonna leave that sport behind, and I'm gonna try and go and do K1. There was a lot more training partners available in that sport. I felt I could do better in that sport, and I'm gonna give it my best shot. You know, I think you have to make that decision, and you have to be willing to carry the kind of the hopes and the expectations of the sport and wanting to be better on your shoulders, nearly to try and push on. And you can't kind of have that as a kind of crash mat, you know, every time you fail like that. It's because we're Irish, like, you know, have a big back. You know, you have to want to improve the sport and carry the whole, you know, nation and the hopes of the sport in Ireland on you. Like, you have to want to better them.
Yeah, because a lot of times we've gone away and, like, you know, me and another lad, like Aaron, the other kind of fell involved with me, like we would do well, but when we come back, we're nearly like that Irish thing of like, it's only because that other fella failed, or it's like, you'd say someone else didn't do well instead of being like, no, like we got to a World Cup, you deserve to be there, do you know what I mean? And whereas I know a very Irish thing is if you've done well, you're nearly like putting yourself down almost, like.
Yeah,
Excuses
definitely.
ready.
It's hard to take a compliment. Yeah, hard to take a compliment. People don't want to take compliments. You just want to fob it off, like, you know. And like the Irish thing of the arm couch, you know, Champions League, and the people with all the critics. It's very easy to criticize people and tell them why they shouldn't have done this or done that. But it is a real Irish thing, you know. Build up the underdog until he is the champion, and then try and tear him down.
Yeah,
I found it like, even with my own experience, it got like with the running and whatever if I'm doing a long distance one or whatever I'm doing, and then like you'll meet somebody like even a couple of weeks later, and the first thing that they do is like oh, what about your body? What about your knees? What about your hips? And it's like, well, my knees and my hips are going to be in bits if I sit and do fucking nothing. Just as much as if I'm going to be running whatever amount of kilometers, like, you know. But just going back on that little point that you were saying, Damo, about like the hatred for losing, or the like what drives you, the hatred for losing, or the like want to win, like it's more like even going back to that race I had, it was like I had my excuses ready in my head before it if I was to drop out like of the race, like, you know. And I think I was coming back up. I think it was about it was more than halfway there. Like it was about 50k in, like, and I twisted my ankle on a rock, like, and then it was like my brain went, "There's your excuse. There you go. You can back out now. Your ankle's swung." And then my brain started to go, "Oh yes, like I have an excuse here to like not do it." And then like Damo was saying, it was like, "Oh yeah, but my family's waiting for me at the finish line." Like it was raining, like all this stuff kept coming into my head going, they're gonna be freezing waiting on you, mate. Like your brain starts going through this stuff where it's like, what do you like? So yeah, in both senses we do have our excuses ready, and then we have the other people then going like that negative kind of side of it, where it's like, and you notice it in people, like, you know, it's like, oh, your knees are gonna be in bits when you're older, mate. It's like, yeah, but like that's a future me problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's sort of
that excuse thing's good, man. We were in Belgium and got through the first round and like qualified, whatever, and then it started absolutely bucketing rain, and it was an outdoor event. And like you say, like literally, I would say, like, and I was one of them, like Aaron competing as well, but like the guy turned around and was like, guys, we might not be able to complete this event. You know, your safety is more important than a spectacle, and I don't want anyone getting injured. But as you say, man, for a brief second in the head, I was like, oh, well, like, look, I didn't make any mistakes in my first round, and I've gotten through the first round now. So if he cancels the event, it's not my fault. Like, and for that second, it was like, I have my excuse, and then obviously it did go ahead, and you're always a bit kicking it, but like I'd be walking around the hotel room, man, and then you're probably saying, I'd be walking around, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, what am I putting myself through this for? Like, it's in your head, and then, but when you've done it, like, it's that adrenaline rush, man. Nothing can match that. Like, training with people can't match that. Like,
yeah, it's definitely the winning's the addictive thing, you know. I remember years ago, it was like a promo thing for a fight, and I was saying like I said in it that I didn't like fight, you know, and it's a weird thing. It comes across very strange, but it was true at the time. Obviously, I've matured again. It's probably 7 years or whatever more. So I've matured again. So I do like testing myself, and I do like the event. But like from a sporting point of view, like I said, we're not from areas where we're dragged up and we're fighting on the streets every day. Confrontation is completely. It's not something I ever want. You know, it's not something I'm comfortable with. It's confrontation with people. So like I don't like fighting. Like I just like winning. Like and that was like it's the winning aspect that just kept me competing and kept me in the sport. You know, it's like if I was getting smashed every day, every tournament, there's no way I would have kept going. You know, there's no way I would have continued. Like, but again, it's just that balance between the mental drive of wanting to keep getting better in yourself, and then actually seeing some results in competition, and then being like, all right, I'm winning some, I'm losing some, I'm just gonna keep pushing through. But it becomes addictive. The feeling of that win, it is addictive, and that's why you see so many sports stars just cannot retire at the right time, because nothing can replace it. Like there's nothing else that can replace it. Like there's a kickboxer, he's actually a Thai boxer mainly, but John Wayne Parr, you remember a thing where he had a video there a while back, and it's epic. Like it's a thing he's saying, like it's a real emotional video. Like John Wayne Parr, he's like 40 odd now, you know, he'd be coming on in life, and he's still fighting. He's had 100 wins and X amount of losses. You know, he's a monster. But he has a thing he's saying, like I don't want to retire. Like I just don't want to retire. He says, like, wake up and like think of, you know, what the most exciting thing will probably be what I'm gonna have for breakfast that day. He was like, it's just like, you know, it's just, he goes, I want to go to bed fearful of the killer that I'm gonna fight. Like, you know, like he's in my mind like every day. Anytime I have a minute in the middle of the day, I'm thinking about how that fight's gonna play out, and I'm just breaking down the scenario. And he says it is fearful, and it's nerve wracking, but he says like there's no thrill like it. Like there's nothing that can replace it. Like when that's gone, it's there's just nothing that comes close to it, and it's very true. And like even when you have a fight coming up, you're fearful of the opponent. You're thinking of them all the time, playing the scenario in your head, down to bed. You know, you're just thinking of the fight constantly. So the person's in your head for X amount of time, and you constantly find yourself wanting to wish that time away. I can't wait till this fight's over, just because I can have some shit field or something. You know, like it's always that mentality. I can't wait till this is fucking over, because I can't wait to have a pizza or whatever it might be. But when it's over, you want it back. You know, and that's something with maturity. I've started living in the moment a bit more and enjoying the process, and trying to really enjoy it at the time, because again, it's not going to be there forever. It'll be gone. But that fucking thrill of winning, like there's just nothing that comes close to it. Like
for you, then, like both you, you know, different areas, but like for Eatho with your marathons, man, and Damo, obviously before you compete, like if you're successful or you consider yourself having a good performance, like what mindset do you think you both need to get into? Because they're both different kind of fields, you know, that way.
For me, it's always been driven by, well, especially recently, well, not recently, but like, especially in the running, like you get into like a kind of thing of like, the negativity kind of fueled me a little bit in the races. It's like, oh, people don't think you can do this, like, you know what I mean? And then in my head, I don't think I can do it as well. So I'm like constantly trying to better myself, like, you know, that sort of way. But like, I mean, now I just go out and enjoy it. Just, you know what I mean? If it's a long race, if it's a short race, if it's whatever it is, if I'm playing football or if I'm doing a bit of jiu-jitsu or whatever, just go and enjoy it. Like I actually, funny, I met an older man, he must have been like late 50s, early 60s, along the trail in the 80 kilometers. And he had his 2 poles, and we were climbing one up, and I was trying to like kind of, like Damo was saying, I was like, I fucking can't wait for this thing to be over, like, you know, that kind of way. And I said it to him, I was like we're nearly there, I think I said, or, you know what I mean, only a few hours left, like, or whatever. And he was like, he just says to me, we're gonna be out here all day, you might as well enjoy it. I was like, perfect, like, just go and enjoy it, like, you know, the kind of way, because Damo said, like, eventually we're not gonna be able to do it anymore, like, you know, the sort of way. So that's the kind of thing I get into my head, is like, just enjoy it. And I mean, if you're driven by kind of whatever you're driven by, but like, just go and enjoy it, like, you know.
Yeah,
Damo's
I
obviously
think
different. He's a pro athlete, but sort of.
I'm not a pro athlete. I fight pro professional rules set. I'm not by far not a pro athlete. But it's but for myself, I find this is preparation definitely helps me with my thoughts. You know, if I know I'm prepared, well, obviously that calms me down a lot. You know, if I'm not prepared well, and it might be a short a short notice fight, like straight away, there's a bit of doubt there. You know, you've again that fight in Switzerland I referred to earlier, like that was a short notice fight, and I'd never fought 5 rounds at the time. So like straight away there, and that's why I came out of the blocks like a fucking snail, because I was fearful of gassing. Like, so prep is a big thing. If I'm prepared, I'm gonna feel confident, a lot more confident. But it's still that bubble of support as well. It makes a massive difference of how I feel. You know, no matter how well prepared I am, if I'm away on my own, it's just me and the coach and just me and Glenn. Like it's very fucking lonely, and you know, you can't help but feel that everyone's against it. You know, like they are, and it's not going to be in a corrupt way or anything. It's not always going to be a corrupt way, and they're out to screw you over. But they are all against you. They're hoping you lose. You know, in the politest way possible. They're hoping you fucking lose. So you feel that pressure, and you feel that it's very lonely. So that's a massive thing, is the support as well. Because like sometimes when again those trips build character. So when I fight here, like, and I have a big crowd there to support me, I feel fucking invincible. Like, I feel like there's no way this lad's gonna fucking have a chance. Like, you know, I feel anxious and I feel really pumped up for it. Whereas when I'm away, sometimes if they are nerves, it is anxiety and nerves. You know, like it's a little bit more nerves creep in when you're on your own in comparison to when you're here. So I think preparation and the support bubble that I have with me at the time are two big things that determine how I feel. You know, nervous was before, and then like definitely.
Do you use that Damo as to your advantage, like, as in, like, kind of like I was saying, like, even I'd be out like in the long races, I'd be in my head, like I'd be creating things in my head. Just somebody just pop into my head, and I'd be like, he doesn't want you to finish. They don't think he can do this. Like, and I just use it, and I know I'm making it up in my head, but it works and it drives me on. That kind of thing always helps me. Is like, oh, they put you in this box, so they are in your instance, like, it's like, you know, there always will be haters, and I don't give a fuck about them, but it helps me in my head going, like, like, they don't want me to do it. They might not even give a fuck about me, but I'm thinking in my head that, and do you use that to your advantage when you're going to places like that? Like,
yeah, definitely, it can be an advantage sometimes, and then sometimes it's a disadvantage. Like, again, like, went away, it was in Bosnia, in the Worlds of Bosnia in 2019, and it was weighing in, and it's just a registration. You're just weighing in, you're just telling them what division you're in, and blah, blah, and they're just logging you in. And it was, you know, Damien Darker, K1 from Ireland, and your man, K1 from Ireland? You know, I was shocked. Like, you know, K1, like, we usually do the mat sports, you know, so I was shocked. And I think it was first K1 team, like, from Ireland under Wacko, and so it was a shock. But that got to me. Like, then that was in my head. Like, it was like, for fuck's sake, like he kind of make a joke about it, like, you know. But then, yeah, next day I went out and knocked your man out with a spinner kick and got the job done. And then the next day you have to weigh in every day. So the next day I'm weighing in. Ireland, you impressed me yesterday. You know, so it's just like, oh yeah, so you got his attention. So yeah, recognize then as legit. Like, you can hang with them, you know. But they will rip the piss out of you until that. And you kind of have to, you have to show up at the same time, you know, and like you said earlier, bridge the gap with, you know, so that they actually start taking it serious, you know, because they will just kind of put you down all the time as a nation and until you start to actually, you know, showing that you can hang with them. Like,
that happened to me, man. Is actually like in our World Cup, like, and it was, you know, like you say, I was first one from Ireland, and obviously Ireland, they're not expecting anyone from Ireland at these kind of events, and the big enough name in our sport, and I'd kind of gone, and to be honest with you, like, getting there was the big deal for us at the time, and I was just like, I'm just happy to be here. And I said aloud to one of the other competitors, like, French fella, and it was just the way he ignored me. I just was like, fuck this prick anyway, I'm gonna fucking smash him. And then, like, and now I didn't smash him, but like, just like changing your kind of suddenly when I turned it into kind of competitiveness, like as opposed to just trying to get on with everyone? I was like, no, I'm not here to make friends. Like, I'm here to compete. Like, and like everyone kind of seems to, that's what I was gonna kind of get at. Like, some people need to have, as you said, Eatho, you make up a scenario in your head. Some people need to have like an imaginary competitor in their head, or some guys need to be really calm. Some of them might need to be angry, especially getting into the ring, man. It's obviously such a unique scenario, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of people that are very, like, some people will be aggressive, you know, getting into the ring, smacking their face, coaches hitting them, all this kind of stuff. And I can't relate to that whatsoever. Like, I just don't think of it like that whatsoever. To me, it's still a sport. It's just like a chess match until the finish presents itself, and then there is that killer instinct that comes out in you. But I don't go out there like aggressively thinking like, right, one shot, like I'm just looking to fucking knock him out with this first shot. Like, for me, it's a breakdown process. Like, try and find the gaps and look for it then. But there are people that are like that. They're very aggressive, and they're you know, they'll be shouting and screaming and stuff like that. And it's very awful, and it's even makes you very nervous when you, like, because you be in the back sometimes with an opponent and you'll hear them screaming, things like that. And you're like, fucking crazy. It's bizarre. But then it doesn't always necessarily mean you might go out and fucking stop him in the first round, but he's been screaming and acting big backstage, like, and it's just, but again, it's just, it's that goes to that mental side of things. Some, like, that's what I was saying earlier. It's not having the mental side of it doesn't always mean that you're going to win. You still have to have the skills, but a lot of it is mental. But again, you do get those rare people that have the mental thing. They're 100% mentally confident, but they're just shy. So you get that balance. You do get that balance. 9 times out of 10, it's usually the other way around. You have them, they're ready and they're prepared, but mentally you crumble. And if you can get that, that's what makes that elite, like, you know, person, like elite athlete. That's, you know, you see them, like the Khabibs, the Floyd Mayweathers, they're elite, but they just have that mental steel in, you know, mentality. They're just made of steel mentally. They're just ready to rock. Like, no doubt really creeps in comparison to other people that have records like myself, you know, like 9 wins, 5 losses. Again, that's proof. Like, I'm there, but I can guarantee you, if I was mentally made of stone, I would not have them 5 losses. Like, you know, like, I would have got the job done on a few of them occasions, like, without that mental doubt creeping in. So that is the big difference. But you do get people that have the mental capabilities, but they're shy. You know, you definitely come across them people. They think they're fucking up here, but they're just not. Like, so you definitely get them people. I don't know if they're all there, but they're definitely. You get them.
I think for us is like, if you're not as athletes at the minute, but as like coaches, you know, it's important that you know who you're working with. Like you said, Damo, you're a calmer person, so your coach, you know, need to keep you calm. Someone might need to be aggressive. You have to change the way you approach them, try and make them aggressive before a comp or something, like.
Yeah, definitely it is a hard thing trying to judge it, and it's inevitable from a coaching point of view. Like, you definitely pass more traits on that you possess. You know, you definitely pass on more attributes that you possess, so you try and make them think like you think, because it's inevitable. That's how you're gonna coach. You're gonna coach in that style. So but yeah, you're gonna get these kind of guys that are just mentally fearless. You know, they're not fearing competition at all. And then you're kind of thinking, well, that's a bit weird in comparison to how I would have been at that age. But yeah, you will assess that and kind of work with it. You know, there's no need to be trying to calm them down, because there's, you know, you don't need to spend time calming them down, because they don't really show you. Like, they're ready to go. So yeah, you can hype them up a little bit differently, and so it is an individual thing in a sense. But then there are other people that, you know, don't need to be told, you know, what to do in a sense mentally. They just need to be given instruction, you know. And I'd be kind of someone like that now. My coach would tell me kind of positive thoughts all the time. He'd be saying positive things just to reinforce them in my head. But he'd be just simple cues and just trying to tell us what to do. But I find that calms me down, because then it reminds me what you're going to do, again, because I'm not an aggressive person. Whereas someone that is aggressive, you know, the last thing they need to do is be calmed down. They just need instruction. You know, they don't need mental reinforcement in a sense. They just need instruction purely. And it does come from just assessing the person. Now again, I haven't had enough coaching experience with people fighting. I know from PTing, again, it's even used in that scenario. Like I have clients that you know, they don't want to be shouted at, you know, but yet you get some clients that do want to be pushed, you know, really hard. You know, it's about trying to juggle that and balance that well. And I think from a PT point of view, my retainability with clients is very high. If I get someone as a client, they're usually with me for a year, few years. Like I have clients with me 6 years. Like so the retainability is very good, and that's obviously a good sign that I'm able to read what people are looking for as far as a connection with a coach, you know. So as I said, I don't have enough coaching experience from a competitive point of view when people are fighting in kickboxing, but from a PT point of view, I think I'd like to believe I'm good at reading people, whether they want an aggressive kind of coach at a time where they might be pushing it really hard, or they want a bit of empathy and cues, as if they're like, right, listen, I know this is boring like crazy now because I've done this, you know, I know it's going to be tough, like try and deal with it this way or that way. It's a bit more, as I said earlier on, I like the underworkouts because I want to be able to give people that don't want aggressive coaching. I want to be able to give them that empathy. I want to give them cues like, right, listen, I know this is going to be, you're going to be thinking now, I can't do this, blah, 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 blah. But that only comes through experience of knowing what they're actually going through. So I like to believe I have that balance that I can coach them and give them a big push and shout at them if they wish, or else give them a lot of empathy and try and, you know, relax them and coach them through it. But the options are there, you know, but it's definitely important to read the person.
Yeah. Did you get a fall there, Eatho, did you?
Fell over.
But on the ground, Eatho.
In jiu-jitsu, would you notice that? Like, you know, different personalities need kind of different coaching styles, I suppose.
100%. Even going back to like coaching football kids or whatever, and even at the PT stuff, you can see it. Like, on a personal level, I never react well to negativity or like, you know, kind of like just using the football scenario. If you make a bad pass or something like that, if a coach would turn around and say that's shite, I never react well to that, like, because I just never see a point in that. Like, that's never gonna make me better. And like Damo was saying with the PT stuff, I think people react better to the empathy than the, oh, that's shite, that's easy, you should be doing that better. Like some people just react better to, you know what, I know this is hard, but I believe you can do it. You know, sort of way. But like, I mean, it's everybody's different, isn't it? Like, so, like, for me, as I said, I never really react well to negativity, or like, it's always like positive will get me going. Like, as in, like, if a manager turned to me when I was younger in the dressing room and said, you were shite last week, I need better for me this week, my head would just go, well, that's me, I'm fucking shite this week again. Because, or I could flip it and be like, and this is where you learn, innit? Like, it's like I could flip it and be like, well, I'm going to show him the fucking prick, you know, the kind of way. So you need to learn things as well. Like, but like, for kind of a normal Joe, stop just training twice, 3 times a week. I think it's important to tap into what motivates them to do the things that you prescribe for them. Top level athletes, like, you really need to kind of find what they're what brings their arousal levels to a point where they can perform to their max ability, like, you know. So that's why it's important to have a good coach, like, you know, and somebody that you know and trust and knows you and knows how you work and like knows your personality and not just a fucking screamer and roar, like, you know.
Yeah, definitely. A coach that has done a bit in the sport is always massive, isn't it? Because, like, again, like, from running or a point of view like that, it could be you know, if you know the guy is 100 kilos and like you're only a 50 kilo guy, like, but yet you're trying to, if you've never had the empathy of running yourself and understanding how much more challenging it is carrying an extra 50 kilos on top of you, but yet you're trying to ask for X, you know, X, Y, or Z as far as a pace from that person that's a lot heavier. And again, it comes from just not being realistic and not having really participated in the sport yourself, and the same even from, I suppose, even on a football pitch as well. Like, not if someone doesn't have pace, but yet you know they're getting on maybe a bit in their years, you don't understand that they need to rely on their experience a bit more and their position, and you're just expressing that they're a lazy fuck because they're standing around all the time or whatever it might be. And even I suppose the same in your sport, Carol, like if you're I was actually watching the last podcast and you were chatting about it a bit about the weight of the guys in your sport, and I'm sure that's a massive thing, but you trying to ask a move or a technique from a guy that's 85 kilos in comparison to a guy that's 50 kilos is obviously a big difference. Like, so having to understand that yourself and not be like, well, fucking John got it in 2 weeks, this move in 2 weeks. Why haven't you got it in 2 weeks? Because you're not putting the work in, but he weighs 30 kilos more than fucking John. So it's probably going to take him a little bit longer, and it's probably not going to be actually feasible for him to hold it as long as John would. Or so it's just having that empathy, I think, with the coach and your clients and your students is big, you know, and having that understanding.
I think the big thing for me, sorry, Gerald, the big thing for me was that when I started training other people was like that kind of imposter syndrome that I went through, where it's like, oh, should I be doing this? You know what I mean? Like, am I good enough to do this? I only recently got me stuck on that, and I said it to Austin and Damo and Lindsay, and they were kind of like, it was kind of like a thing of like, well, you've been doing it for years, and again, it's experiences over most things, like, you know. And like Damo was saying, if you prescribe a workout for someone or whatever it is, if you can turn around and say, yeah, I've been there, even if they're turning around and saying, like, I'm having a shit week this week, I feel like I'm not getting any progress in my training, blah blah blah, you physically turning around and being able to say, yeah, I've been there, is more, to me, kind of cements home with people better than, well, no, you should be at this point of your training and you shouldn't be feeling like that. And you know, that kind of way, you know what I'm trying to say? It's that understanding of, and that people can like, oh, he's been there, he knows what to do, he knows that the experiences will, you know, get me to a point where I want to be, you know.
Yeah, and again, that's why I openly would talk to clients, or even on things like this, like on the podcast, like openly say about things that would be like people would see as insecurities in a sense, like, but people always think, like, people think of you as a personal trainer or you as a fighter or whatever as fucking invincible, and you don't have these thoughts. But like, for even just younger, you know, for my clients, I always tell them, like, again, having empathy through a session of what it feels like, or, you know, I'm not feeling good today, and, you know, being able to empathize with them on things like that, whether it's their weight fluctuating up and down or whatever it might be, or mentally just them feeling tired or whatever, being able to empathize with them there. And then same with even fighters, they think like, oh, you only see the people when they're actually fighting, and you can't really tell the emotions, but until you openly come out and say, like, well, if you shoot myself, you know, I know I've lost fights backstage because I wasn't mentally prepared. It kind of, again, it allows people, you know, people gain. I find that people will gain more from that than me just trying to, you know, be fucking macho man and not say that I'm, you know, that I've ever suffered mentally as far as fear of fights, and, you know, it's too easy to kind of just kind of, you know, not mention it. So I prefer mentioning things like that, and hopefully, as I improve, I can help other people improve and deal with it and get through things, you know.
Yeah, for me, it's that thing of getting past that whole macho man thing. It's like, you're not proving anything to anybody. Everybody knows that if you like, stop thinking you're fucking hard man all the time. Everyone knows that's looking at you that you're not. We still go through the same things in our head. Everyone has self-doubt. Everyone is tired sometimes. Not every workout's going to be fucking, like, get David Goggins, like, you know, sort of way. So, like, understanding your body and understanding how it works is a much better way, and actually accepting those insecurities, and actually accepting that some days you don't feel like it. Some days you do feel like shite. Some days you do feel like less of a fucking man, or less of an athlete, or less, you know, like less of yourself. You feel less, like, you know what I mean, confident or whatever. And it's just trying to get away from that and trying to be like, you know what, like, it's okay to be like that. You know what I mean? It's okay to throw those insecurities out and be like, yeah, I can do all these things. I can, in my own kind of personal life, it's like, oh, I can run all these, I can do the fucking Ironmans, I can, you know, train all the time, but I still have all these insecurities. I'm not fucking invincible, you know, that kind of way. So I think that's important. And again, people empathize with that, and the amount of kind of feedback I've got from that in my own like kind of social media it shows that people are all the same at the same time, like, you know, that kind of way. Like it's
people empathize with it, definitely. Yeah, it's good to let people know about just things like that. I find they definitely take it on a lot more, you know. It's very easy to kind of, the Instagram world is very clear and perfect, you know, and when you do post things up that aren't that perfect, like I find, like when I put up a post about losing fights, I think I get fucking double the likes than when I win.
People respect honesty, man. Like, the amount of tripe you see on Instagram now, it's like, unlike, that's why I'm all for the ugly selfies, man. It's like people are gonna see you out on the road. You don't fucking look like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, or like, you know what I mean? People trying to get the best shot of their fucking, like, whatever it is, like, there. And I'm just like just especially in the fitness world, I find it like, it's like, fucking hell, man. Like, nobody looks like that. You know what I mean? You see these lads with the tops off and all this, like,
it happened to us at a comp, like, where the same thing. If we, like, one of the lads, when I qualified for something, and one of the boys rang me after in absolute shock that I'd placed. He was like, some of the lads in that comp are unreal. How did you place? Like, and it's that Instagram world that, like, half the lads compete in. Yeah, they look great on Instagram, but Instagram's 1 minute of, you know, a 3-hour session or something. And when we do go to events, like you say, man, people come in and there's almost an expectancy on, and sure, Damo, like you're the same when you go to another kickboxing club or an event or community thing, but when we walk in, and if they're expecting me to be perfect, you know what I mean, 100%, everything I'll go for a catch, but they appreciate it more when they see, like, whatever you like, the leading coach or whatever, missing stuff, because it shows them that, we fail as well. Like, there's no difference. Like, we miss things, we don't, like, we fuck up, and that's in every sport, you know, and a lot of people need to see that, I think.
Yeah, and I think even podcasts, I think that's why podcasts are becoming so big as well, is because they're not little 60-minute clips. People really get to open up and really get to express, you know, talk about things like that, you know, rather than everything being perfect in little 60-second clips on Instagram. You know, people really get to tell a story and actually tell people about little insecurities and little downfalls they've had, and get more of a story across. I think people prefer that, you know.
Yeah, you're fooling nobody with things like that on Instagram, aren't they? Like, well, they are fooling people, but, like, I mean, in my opinion, like, you're getting that little snapshot into this perfect life that they've created for themselves on their Instagram, but when they fucking lock their phone, their life is completely different. Like you know, completely different. And, like, it does my fucking head in anyway. Sorry, you're not going ahead.
You know what? The only downfall with the podcast, lads, is I need to go for a piss. So I'll be back right in a second.
Take a piss break, sure. But no, look, man, we're the same. Like, if like you say, if Damo puts something up about winning a comp, and then, like, they haven't seen that he's been training for 6 months, they just see that one fighter. It's like what Connor said. He was like, what was it, 10 years for those 10 seconds or whatever they said about his first world title or his double world title or whatever.
Sorry, yeah.
I'd be the same. If I put up, like, that I've learned a new move or something, you know, people would be like, they just see that, but they don't see, like, I've been trying that every day for the last 4 months or something, or they just see the brief, like, 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like, going back to the longer runs I've done or whatever, and people say to me, man, I don't know how you do that, like, and it's like, man, like, there's a lot of sacrifices to stuff like that, and there's a lot, like, I mean, I've openly admitted that I didn't train properly for those, like, you know, that sort of way, but, like, there's an awful lot of sacrifice underneath all that stuff where, like, I mean, it has strains on relationships, on like, you know, like, girlfriends, friends, so, like, you know, it's important for people to open up about these things and be like, you know, I'm not just everything.
Is that why you needed to go for that walk about earlier, Damo?
What?
Is that why you needed that walk around the room earlier, was it?
No, it was starting to shiver. You could hear it in my voice. The windows are open. I was starting to shiver. So I needed a piss. So I was bursting. Bladder of an 80-year-old.
Oh, I'm awful as well.
Yeah, I need to go as well now. Damo's passed it on me. So.
I've been waiting. I was like trying not to be rude. I was like, I can't fucking interrupt someone's story. I was like, right, hold on a sec, lads. We'll be back in a second.
I've only got one more kind of thing to bring up, and then you can leg it anyway. But it was just the idea that, like, do you think, like, the environment, like, we've all grown up in a similar area. We obviously all went to the same school. Like, there's a lot of people in and around our area or went to the same school that you'd regard as, I suppose, successful in sport. Do you think, like, the environment we all grew up in has anything to do with that? Like,
yeah, I think it was a balance between bit of hardship. You know, I think everyone around the area, like, again, we didn't grow up, you know, loaded and like having everything. So you kind of had a balance of a bit of hardship and not being too soft, but at the same time being respectful enough to know that, you know, being given good manners, good etiquette, good kind of being taught well by family, and then obviously education. And I think the balance just gives people a good balance between hard work and education in a sense, and good morals. But yeah, I think that's what. But again, you look at the other side of it, and you see guys that grow up in complete poverty and they really have something to fight for, you know, and they're really going at it. But and then you get people that grow up and they have a silver spoon in their mouth and they have all the money and all the financial things and anything they want they have given to them. But then again, they're still successful as well. So it kind of is more. I think it's just that we know the people in the area, probably, you know, that we kind of feel we look at our area in that sense. But I believe it's a balance of being brought up well in the area, but at the same time not being too soft and having to work for things, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think there's no coincidence this area, like, that there is like an awful lot of hardworking people. We've all been brought up, you know, kind of in our circles, like, as you know, to respect money, respect hard work, and nothing's really handed to us. And that kind of shows, like, with the amount of, like, local businesses that are open, local gyms, and like, yeah, I think, as Damo said, we were brought up the right way. And I mean, in terms of sport, yeah, there's lots of people from around here that are, like, how many times did you hear, like, when we were growing up, going, he's quality football, he's quality of this, he's this, like, he's like boxing champion. Like I knew more about Damo's career before we were even mates. But, like, you know, the sort of way it was like first time I met him, I was like, where's all his belts? I normally just see a lot of fucking wrapped around them, like, you know, the sort of way. So
there's a picture in the gym of me kicking some lad in the head before I say hi to you. Just a big picture in the gym.
Yeah. Is that the one you asked me to Photoshop your foot into?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It was actually a slip. I slipped, but then we inverted the ball. We just turned it upside down. It looks like a nice
yeah. But yeah, I think, like, it actually, the point that, like, kind of even that I was thinking was, like, I know we were talking about earlier, was where like the kind of whole fitness thing of, like, where's it going in terms of, like, these commercial gyms, you know, sort of way, in terms of, like, the amount of gyms that people have open, like, these commercial gyms, in my opinion, like, they're propping up all over the shop. But, like, I'm not just saying it now because I'm working with the lads, but it's like, I went to the gym for so many years on my own. I spent like 1-2 hours in the gym, and then I went to train with the lads, and I was spending 45 minutes in the gym, and I just, my progression just flew up, like, and that just shows you the wealth of knowledge that we have around here, like, in that, and that drive that there is in this local area. And it's only a small little area, but the amount of knowledge we have in all these different aspects of sport, and like, it's fucking great. It's great for the area, like, you know. That's why I moved to the farm, girl. You know, I didn't want to leave the bush.
Yeah, it's good with you saying that, Eatho, because again, like, even when Gero asked that question, I was straight away, I was thinking sporting. So, like, I was kind of saying, like, but yeah, it's a lot more than sport, I suppose. Success, again, it just shows, just because we were chatting about sport, I was thinking even sporting, but from a business point of view, that's why I think we're smack bang in the middle on both ends, especially when we're not people that grow up in kind of poverty and really work hard and they make it sportingly, sometimes they're still socially awkward and very aggressive, and you know, in a sense, like that it has some successful in sport, but they don't come across very well businessly. You know, they don't have education, number one, and they don't. So I think again, the people that grow up financially set already, you know, now, you know, you can't paint them all with the same brush. Like you know, you get people that are great, like, but and they're well grounded and they work hard, and even though their family are well off, but just you do get some people that, you know, they're just they go to the best college and blah, but they just don't have common sense or any cop on. So I think like where we're from, it kind of is smack bang in the middle, and I think we get the best of both worlds. Are well grounded, but you know, we've had to work hard, and but we're still able to actually get educated, and I think that's where you see the kind of business success, you know, as well. You know, it's not, success isn't just sport. And even when you asked the question initially, I was thinking just sport, but I suppose, yeah, it's down to a lot more than just that. And I think the area is just perfect for that kind of balance to have success in business.
Yeah, because a lot of us obviously around like that, you know, there is a lot of sports clubs in our area, and we're kind of blessed with it. Whereas you talk to someone in Mayo or something, and like the nearest club to them is a GAA club, and that's it, and it's a half an hour drive, and that's kind of it. Whereas where we are, there's so many options of sport, in particular, like the last kind of few years, there's much more individual sport. Like, you know, obviously MMA has exploded, but like the aspects within that, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, they've all exploded because of it as well. Like,
Yeah.
But sometimes like that idea of like you said, Damo, like people who have money and stuff, like obviously there's exceptions to that rule, and some people can use it well and still want out of that environment. Like I know people that have been rich and hate the fact that they're rich because they want to associate with others or whatever. But you know, sometimes when you're kind of a little bit lower and you've something to strive towards, as opposed to just being comfortable. You know, if you grow up comfortable, you've nothing really pushing you to change your environment. Like,
yeah. And again, if you're getting kind of everything given to you, you know, you don't really have anything to work for, in a sense. And like if you grow up, like again, growing up from an area where you're gonna have to work for things, in a sense, I find sport was like, it's something like you kind of feel like you're working hard at something, and then the gratitude you get, or the how would you say, the recognition you get off of people when you do well, in a sense, you're kind of like, Jesus, that's something I've never really got before, you know, off of other people. Fair enough, your family or whatever, you know, you're well accepted, but from like, you know, from other people, they're like, Jesus Christ. And then that becomes something that, as much as the feeling of winning, like it's the acceptance that comes with it, in a sense. You start becoming that person that like, oh yeah, like I love that. I feel like you settle in there, you're feeling good, because you know so many people are reaching out to you or whatever. So I think that feeling as well of being accepted is another thing that comes with winning, that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's a big thing, and like even I found like kind of people saying to me like, oh, like I don't, like if I'd done something for the 50k I done last year during the lockdown was for a charity that was that I the Dublin to Donegal lads, I was talking to them on Instagram, and it just kind of blew up from there. But the real community behind that, like I just put one video up on Instagram, and all of a sudden this community, you just like from a child from Donegal that nobody even knew, this whole community just got behind it. Everyone was doing their bit, like, and that kind of thing of it like the kind of satisfaction you get from that, where it's like you know, that's a win in itself, you know, the sort of way, like you're getting people active, you're getting people out, you're getting people behind a great cause, and that drives you forward as well, you know, the sort of way that drives you to be like and I was like, going back to this community, there's so many nice people here, there's so many people, like, and recently this area's gotten a bit of stick, like, you know, in the news or whatever, like, but like this area is fucking great. It's you know, the amount of great people, the amount of great local business we have, the wealth and knowledge we have, and just the sense of community, like, you know, the sort of like that really showed me that I could put one video up about a child from Donegal that, like, you know, like his dad was trying to do a run on it with his mates, and like they couldn't do it, and they were trying to raise money, and all of a sudden then this area gets behind it, like, you know, the sort of way. And then the lads Jody and Craig were doing 50k as well, and then people were doing 10k's and 5k's, and then all of a sudden there's people coming up to me that don't even know, and they were like, oh, I've done that 5k, 10k, like, you know, it was unbelievable, and that's a win for me in itself. That's better than any medal that I could have ever gotten from a 50k race that was cancelled, you know.
Yeah, like sport's one of the few things that, like, regardless of your social class, like, you become that community. You know, no one's looking at you, and you're not like your one common denominator is the sport, and that can be what like brings loads of people together just through that one interest. Like,
yeah, and he even said, I think you mentioned it earlier, with the you were saying with the French guy that kind of give you the cold shoulder at the event. Like, I've had guys do that to us over the years, like, you know, and they will be competitors, but again, they see you as inferior, and they don't think you're mates, you know, you're not good enough to be my mate nearly, you know.
Yeah.
Then you beat them a few years later, and then all of a sudden you're mates, you're willing to be mates now, you know. I've had that kickboxing, and it's you know, it's weird. It feels great, and you do classify them as a mate, like, and you're like, oh yeah, socialise and chat whenever there's events and all now, but yeah, you kind of have to tread carefully in that line, because you really know, like, as soon as things get, you have to earn their respect. They weren't willing to respect you straight off the bat, so really, are they your fucking friends, you know? You have to kind of tread carefully with the acceptance you get through sport, you know. It's very bandwagonish, you know. They'll be fucking gone in a heartbeat. Like, as soon as you have hard times or whatever, they'll be gone. Like, so it's, as much as it is great, the acceptance, and it's but it's, you wonder how deep it goes.
It's that kind of Instagram community, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely,
as opposed to a real community, like.
Yeah. I always say to the lads, it's like, I never trust anyone to look them in the eye. Like, you know, you'd be Instagram mates and blah blah blah, like, but like they could be following you because they want you to fail. They want you to put up that loss that you did, or that DNF in my case, or like Gero, you slipping off a bar and falling onto your nose, like, you know, sort of way. It's like they could be following you because they want you to fail, like, you know. So yeah, it's interesting, all right.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one of the things that we.
It's just another question I was going to say, because I was saying it to Ethan the other day when we were chatting, the calisthenics just blows my mind, man. How did you think about starting it? Like, when did you decide that it was something? Because it is definitely, like, I guarantee you weren't brought with a calisthenics club by your parents, like, you know. So, like, how did you know? It's not like, how did you ever get into it? It's just something that was interesting to you, or?
Well, that's why, like, I was asking, like, the environment thing, like, you know, if I never came across it, you know, like the amount of kids we have involved now, like, as you say, if there was no club, all these kids who look like superstars in our sport, say, but like if our thing wasn't around, they'd probably be doing nothing. But for me, man, I was just working in local. I was just PT, or, you know, fitness instructor, jack of all trades, and I was setting up a class out of laziness, like, just like, or I'm gonna do a bodyweight class because there meant no equipment, like, I didn't have to bring it up, and it went from that to just like, look, I suppose just came across it, started seeing a few videos, and I was like, what is this, you know what I mean? And then once I got into it, I just understood the difference between, as I said, liking something and loving something, you know. And it wasn't like you know that, like, just as well, it's not better than me, man, but it's just like it didn't feel like I had to train. It was like, I get to train, you know. And it was like, I put everything into it because, and not because I felt I had to, it was just purely because I enjoy doing it, so I make time for it, like. And then that's, as you say, it wasn't through finding a club or anything. I had to make my own club, and it's just kind of grown since then, like.
And did you have anyone that you kind of reached out to, in a sense, or was it kind of YouTube based or whatever? Like, how did you literally just see the exercise and try and practice, or did you have anyone that was giving you any kind of cues of how to do things?
At the start in lockout, whether it's like luck, fate, or chance, whatever would you want to use, but I've been doing it a few months, and then a fella came in, and he was the first person I'd seen do calisthenics in real life, like in the gym. And I was like, oh shit. So the job then hired him the next day just because they seen what he was doing, like, and just got training with him. But like, that was okay at the start, but then when you're progressing, and you know, it's like you said with kickboxing, where there's so many different strands. He kind of wanted to do a bit more of, I suppose, just reps and stuff, whereas I was interested in the tricks and like the dynamics of it. So we kind of went our own ways. So yeah, after a while, you're trying to learn it yourself, and you know, that's kind of one of the things, like you said, through experience. You know, something that might have taken me 6 months to learn, I can teach in 6 minutes because I've put in that time. So in ways, me having to go and find that stuff out myself and what works and what doesn't, obviously it's made me a better coach, you know.
Yeah, that really is fucking fascinating, though, man. Like that, yeah, legitimately a fucking pioneer in the sport then in Ireland, like, because like I went to a kickboxing club, and you know, we just, you know, started taekwondo club, kickboxing club, and they were there, but like I didn't create kickboxing, like, you know, in Ireland. Like, it's fucking like the what you're saying there is fucking is crazy, man, as far as that sport in Ireland. Like.
But that's what we've kind of said, though, like in terms, like we run coaching courses and stuff now, and we're trying to train people up to teach it and stuff. And what we've said to them is we're lucky in a sense that there's nothing there, because if you go into football now, like there's so much wrong with the structure, but they've only learned that because of 100 years of experience and science and everything catching up. So we've all these other sports that have not done it wrong, but you know, like we've learned now that there's a developmental age as opposed to just being 15 and all these kind of things. So we can implement that stuff now. So we're the ones, as you said, man, I find that much more exciting, being able to grow the sport as opposed to walk into football. Everything's already there, you know?
Yeah. That's quality, man. Absolutely quality, because it's a thing that even intrigues me. It's like, it's so eye-catching when you see it. Like again, I'm always, anytime I see any of your videos, it just blows me fucking mind. Like, I'm just like, that is, because it's like, it's something that you couldn't even fathom doing. That's why it catches my, it literally blows my mind, because like, I couldn't even fathom doing that. I perceive myself to be a relatively strong lad, like, but I couldn't even fathom doing that. Like, it's just like, it's mind blowing, and it catches my attention straight away. And I'm like, how the fuck do I even think about going about that? How do you even do that? And again, like, it goes back to being a PT, and you get people from all body shapes and all sizes. And all. I'm sure it's mental from your job as a coach, trying to the building blocks to get to doing that. It must be mind blowing for yourself, trying to structure that for again, someone that could be even heavy coming into the class, you know.
Yeah, well, that's probably why Eatho keeps running away from me anytime he sees me. He's afraid I'm going to ask him to do a handstand, like.
Yeah, I'd love to do it.
I told you, man.
Over.
I'm up to 85 kilos now. I'm not fucking hanging out in the stop signs. Told Damo,
yeah, but like what we kind of do, and like it's probably, I don't know, like it's kind of something I'm really interested in, is that like you're trying to develop like individuals. You're not just like, what works for me won't work for you, won't work for Eatho. So me as a coach, I try and like create like as wide, I suppose, as many variables as possible, you know. And then if you're the athlete, you have to narrow that down. You have to funnel into what works for you. But as the coach, you have to expand it, and okay, that isn't working for you, this might. And you know, it's not as simple as this works for me, you do it.
Depending on the length of their limbs, the weight of them, the, you know, age of them, strength.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, even like the mentality, like some of the moves that we do, like I'd be nervous of, and other guys wouldn't think twice about them. So even that side, thinking like, you know, I'm okay at like the strength and the static movements. Some guys find them impossible, but they would throw out crazy tricks that we wouldn't do, you know. So like, there's a lot of it is personality as well, you know.
Yeah, it's class. It is really class. You must get people just staring at you in the park, do you?
Yeah, because he's so handsome.
You must, man.
Just in general, before I even do it,
I'd be like fucking crazy, man. Mind blowing. Like, could you imagine that? I get filthies when I'm in the park shadowboxing. You can only imagine what you get. You just think I'm a scumbag, though. You just think, you know, I'm looking for a fight. You think, you can only imagine. You must get mad looks. Like, people must be like they seeing a fucking, like something out of Stranger Things. They must be going to ring the cards or something.
It's funny when like not in a bad way, but you'll have someone in the park and they're like thinking they're brilliant because they're doing a muscle up and they kind of have the shapes, and I'm just kind of like, that's cute. And then like, and then I'll kind of do my thing, and it's just, I don't mean to be like putting them down, right? Because it's great when you see people doing stuff, but you're just like, there's always
they
a
must be
level.
coming checking for the strings underneath or something. Like, it's definitely something underneath them there. That's not fucking right. Like, it's
Your man's
savage.
looking at his
Like,
party
absolute
arms and
savage.
just fucking double
I think
thinking what he's
it was
done.
like last Sunday or something. I was in the park and there was 3 of them kind of doing rings, and they had their stereo on, and like they thought they were the shit, like blaring music and shaping around doing a few pull-ups, like, and you know, I was kind of just in my corner doing my thing, and once I started warming up, you could just see the 3 of them all kind of like starting to lower the music and take the rings down.
Levels.
It is savage stuff, man. It'd definitely be something like I remember a few years back, I went through a phase of trying to. I remember the specific moment I had this thought in my head. Right, I was walking along. I think we were in Portugal, me and Rebecca were in Portugal. We were walking along the promenade on the beach, and then I seen this guy. The beach was good, like it's good 20 feet down. It was real big drop off the promenade down onto the beach, but I seen this guy doing a backflip through and landing back, and I was like, how the fuck is he jumping up that high? But they had a gym ball buried in the sand, right? And it was like a springboard then, so they were bouncing off it, and your man was doing a backflip and landing back down. I think it was mind blowing. But I was like, fuck, I want to learn how to do backflips. So I remember that point, I was like, right, I want to learn how to do backflips. So I came home and I started doing a bit of stuff. But I think I'm too fucking old, man. My mid back doesn't bend that way, right? I was trying to do like hand like walkovers and stuff like that, and just handsprings. My mid back just cannot bend that way. It's just so seized up and so crepid, like it's just in bits. But my mobility isn't there. But like from your point of view, do you find now that you're working with kids so much easier? Like when people are like in their 20s, as far as mobility on some things, it probably is a much harder process dealing with them. If you can get a kid manipulating even from a PT point of view, if you get a kid, look at a kid that can walk, their squat is perfect. You know, then you get them when they're 30 and their fucking squat is in bits. You know, like the mobility is so bad from just inactivity. Like if you can get a kid that's young and mobile and supple and and obviously a lot lighter, and they can manipulate their body weight, and they just continue to do that, how much easier is that? Like, you know, so it must be much better for you. You must wish you started when you were fucking younger. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was 22, you know, so like, yeah, you'd like to think that someone starts at 12, they've a much bigger advantage than me at 22. They've 10 years practice, but at the same time, it's like, you know, someone could have a lot of potential, but if the way someone's training them is wrong, like they're gone. Yeah. So sometimes getting someone later when they're a bit more mature, or, you know, there is both. Obviously the very common and easy answer is like, yeah, getting someone at 10 and training them for 10 years has a much bigger advantage than me, but they have to be trained properly. Like some people don't differentiate. They try to put an adult game on a kid's shoulders, and it's like, yeah, he's 10, I want them to enjoy it. That's why I say the fact that we can put the structure on it gives us a huge advantage. I'll only have 2 competitions a year, and I don't even call them competition. I tell the kids it's an exhibition, and we don't like. Whereas imagine football, man. Like football is a match every Saturday, and the kids are afraid to try any tricks. They're afraid to try any skills because they have to win. And it's like, it's an under 7 Division 4. It doesn't matter. Like, but that's the way they place that kind of pressure of winning on them very soon. Whereas we're like, as I say, 1 or 2 competitions at the most a year, and it's literally just more an exhibition than competition. And it's like that thing, once they finish the competitions, like we said, the pressure's off their shoulders, and they just want to keep learning skills. So it's that thing of deliberate play as opposed to just, you know, deliberate practice, you know, get them out with that mindset until they're a little bit later. But as I say, we're lucky in a way that there isn't anything before us, because we can establish that. So it is brilliant, and I much prefer working with kids than adults, because adults like more so are like, and you obviously know this in your own place, but their motivations are more, I have a wedding coming up in a few weeks and I want to lose a bit of weight. That interests some people, and it's great if it does. But for me, like when I'm working with the kids and they see a trick and they get excited by it, they like it for the same reasons I do. So it's much easier to work with them because, you know, they like it for the same reasons, as I said.
Yeah, same with a PT point of view. It's the more you do it, the years you do it, it's great. It's great dealing with like I have a few clients that might be older clients, you know, because again they just want to get stronger. They just want to move better, you know, like you were saying with kids. Like it's just they just want to do, you know, it's a lot easier to get someone to perform better and be stronger and move better. But when you're trying to juggle all that with a big calorie deficit and you're trying to just both, you know, making them stronger while allowing them to drop weight, but then also dealing with their emotional backlash of how, you know, it's hard to be doing it, you know, because obviously it's not easy. Like so you're trying to juggle everything. So it's definitely, when you start doing it, when you're dealing with more older clients and they just want to be physically more mobile and stuff like that, it's great dealing with those clients, you know. It's 100% commitment to the strength training activity that's going to get them better. You know, you don't have to be juggling all the other things, wanting to chat food and all the other stuff that's time consuming and draining. So it's the same, I suppose, you dealing with the kids. It's they're there for the one thing really.
Like with kids, there's no limit, if you get me. Like if when you talk to an adult, like you say there, man, I can't do that, my back's in bits. When you start working with people in there kind of later on, they keep putting limitations in place. Yeah. Whereas a kid, just like, you'll show them something and like I can do that. Like they'll challenge me, like, do you know what I mean? They'll call me out and stuff. Jamie, can you do that? And I'm like, give me a good 20-minute warm up there, mate, and I'll give it a go. Like, but the kids just call you out on stuff. So I just like, that's why. And everyone will have a kind of age group, I think. You know, some people prefer working with adults, you know, and everyone's kind of different in regards to who they prefer to work with.
Little niche.
Yeah, I just, like, for me, it just seemed to be where it grew. And as I say, the kids like the sport for the same reason I do. They get excited by it the same reasons I do. So it just works out a lot better, you know.
Yeah, there's definitely like, again, as I said, the structure, you're able to place the structure on it. And I think even from a kickboxing point of view and a martial arts point of view, like I'm kind of lucky in the sense I had the backing of my parents. Like I said, I always say that, and that's really why I stuck it out. I definitely probably would have ventured off somewhere else if I didn't have the backing and support that they pushed on me. Because I didn't really love it. It wasn't exactly great crack all the time, you know. And I think, like, if you look at other sports, like, that is a massive thing that keeps kids involved. Like in kickboxing, like I said earlier, there's all different strands. Semi-contact kickboxing is that kind of karate style of kickboxing, stop start points karate, and it's not like, when I remember competing, I used to hate it because it was continuous punches to the face. It's a shock. You'd be crying, oh, this is fucking awful, like, what is going on here, you know. It's a massive shock. At the time, like, your head guard coming loose and all, you just don't know. You're like, what the hell's going on here? So like that was awful at the time. But again, you become comfortable in the uncomfortable as you do it over and over again. But that's what I said. You need the backing of your parents. If you're a parent that listens to it, as soon as your kids say that they don't like it, it's not for him. You know, you need a bit of a push. But like, again, the semi-contact side of kickboxing, it's like a game of tag. Like, it's the kids compete a lot more than we would, because they love it. Like, they're buzzing to do it. Like, and those athletes that do the semi-contact kickboxing and are very successful at it and go on. A lot of them are now going on to be really good MMA fighters and stuff again. But their distance control and their timing and stuff is exceptional. Like, because they've probably done it. They've competed a lot more than we have in the light contact and in the ring, because of just the frequency of the competitions, because they're not full contact and they're kind of they're less taxing on the body, and from a young age they're more exciting. The kids love it. It's like jiu-jitsu, the vibe in jiu-jitsu. It's even at adults and stuff. Like, I go to the tournaments and like, I've been there supporting Austin a few times, and the vibe is they're all loving it. You know, there's no animosity between even competitors. Like, there's no, obviously when you get to the higher level lads and all, they're not exactly hugging each other before they compete, but it's just different to fight and to striking sports, in a sense. It's just, they have a different outlook on it. And I think if you don't hate it and you're more fearful of it, and it's enjoyable, you're going to do it more. And obviously, the longer you're able to do it more, all those hours of practice and all are just going to make you a lot better. So like straight away, when we're talking about you put the structure in for the kids, if the kids are just coming in, and even if they're not learning that necessarily, but they're willing to play and do that from the ages of 4 to 7 or whatever, and they're just getting comfortable in the environment, but they're practicing little things, and you can manage them to stick through that phase. The success rate of making them stick to the sport is obviously going to be a lot better, rather than like you were saying about the football. We're going to be they're going to do a match. You're going to get hammered 12-0. You're going to feel shit. But that's the way we're going to keep score, and that's it. Like we're just keeping score. You're going to go into a fight, and you might get punched in the face until you cry and you can't continue. And then obviously the other kid knows he won. It definitely turns kids off if you can get it. Just that it's a playful vibe at a younger age. I find it's definitely a lot better on the kids. Like, and I'm just one of the lucky ones that stuck it out. And obviously there's a lot more people like me as well that stuck it out, but I say a lot of kids have been turned off in the sense of the sport not being that fun at its time.
Eatho, you just looked a lot like the Willy Wonka meme there for most of that.
That was just fascinating.
Tell me more.
No, it's definitely true. Obviously, somebody who's coached young kids football, and I think they went away from the whole thing of keeping score and a competition at very young age. Like, but you still know when you're getting battered. Like, sort of way, you still know when a team is better than you. I'm not one for a competition with young kids. Even in at any sports, like 8, 9, 10, like maybe when they hit sort of 11, 12, you can start to kind of teach them the basics of competitiveness and how to compete. But I'm not big on kids, and for the reason that Damo said, is the fact that they may lose interest in the sport and they may be a late developer. And we've seen that. We've seen so many late developers in professional sport and just in general, like, sort of way. So I'm not one for disheartening people. And then on the other side of the coin is you see these child prodigies coming up that are winning everything. And then they hit 16, 17, 18 and they start, I don't know, noticing women and drinking and, sort of, and all of a sudden then they just fall away, and they've been told that they were brilliant their whole life at this specific sport. So they think that they don't have to work hard anymore. And I think, especially in football, that's a huge thing with Irish kids, is that they were told they were brilliant all the way up from 6 to 16. And then they go to England and then they see what hard work is. They see these kids like that are from high-rise flats in London, and that's all they have is football. And that's literally they will do anything to be a professional footballer. When these young lads have been over here and they're kind of going through the motions because they're, they've been the best in their area. Like, so yeah, I'm not one for competitiveness with children up until a certain age. I think it's Holland, Dutch football. They don't play competitive football until they're 13 or 14. And look how you don't have to even know anything about football to know that the Dutch are good at football. The sort of way, and their grassroots is spot on. So yeah, like this country's obsession with winning things. And
I know that like Dalkey tried to introduce that, man, where they got rid of competitiveness, and he was like, no, we're not going to put our teams into leagues until 12s. And like, as you said, like the idea that we're coming across, that was the reason, and it makes sense. But then no other club followed them. So like every kid that was decent just went down to Joe's because they had a match every Sunday. So like, even though these ideas are making sense, it's like the structure. Like there was another one called Bio-Banding that got introduced, and what England were trying to do was have summer tournaments where you'd go into a team based on your biological age. So you could be 14, but you're playing with a load of 16-year-olds and vice versa. And like, sounds like it's a good theory, but then if you're 14 and you've been playing with all your mates up to that point and they take you out of that, sure, that's not going to have as good an effect either, because socially they're not going to interact well with those kids. So
yeah, there's the other side of that coin then as well, is like getting that experience. Like there could be an argument for, oh well, like the more experience you get, like for me now going into a football match, I've played so many that like, you know what I mean, I not like. And if I turned around to say, like if Damo turned around and means that I'll throw you into the ring, and I'm sitting in the dressing room beforehand, shitting myself, like, because I don't know what to do when people are throwing instructions at me, and vice versa.
I'd be shitting myself, and I've been doing it my whole life.
Exactly. Like, so it's like that competitive practice of getting that competitiveness and getting that edge. But I think if we implement competitive sport at 11 or 12, there's plenty of time to get used to it. They don't need to be losing 5-6-0 on a fucking Saturday morning when they're 7. They'll just lose interest.
Yeah,
I think it has to be a national thing, doesn't it? It has to be a national. It has to be. It has to be taken on with the whole country. Like, I think if it's got, because like that, you said they're just going down the road and do it. Like, well, they're the good people, you know, that obviously think they have a chance of winning a medal or a match. Like, and then obviously you've just got a massive difference in golf. You're just going to have a really shit team. They'll probably end up just leaving the league because they've got all the players that want to just be a part of an inclusive thing. So I think, like, we were in Norway a few years back kickboxing, and just chatting to the guys there, and they just seem to have it like a really good system as well. Like, I think their government and like everything over there, I think they just really have it nailed down. Like, they're just really, their economy is fucking booming all the time, and they're like they're just really, really, really clever people. Like, even from sport, from contact sport, I think kickboxing, I think you can only kickbox up until you're 38 or something like that, and then it's illegal. Like, it's pretty much, it's illegal for you to kickbox. You're not allowed to kickbox past that age. There's a certain age, I'm not exactly if it's 38, but something like that, that you're not allowed after that. And obviously from just mental from the side effects on your brain. But that's, and then the same with kids. They won't allow the kids to competitively compete up until, I think it's 12 as well, or could be even more than that. But it's just, they just seem to have, and even from that's just not kickboxing, that's just sport in general. Nothing's competitive up until 12 or 15 or in and around that. So it's it has to be a national thing, right? Otherwise you're just going to get that. They just go down the road, and do it then. It does have to be a bigger scheme.
We've nearly gone the opposite way with football. I could have a debate about this all day, but we have an elite league now, where 13s to 19s have an elite team. I mean, who are you to tell me that a 13-year-old is elite and another one isn't? You know, the sort of way, like, he's 13. Like, in 3 years' time, that kid could be a completely different person. He could be, like, I mean, even when I was 13, I was tiny. And then all of a sudden I'm 16 and I'm 6 foot. You know, the sort of way. Like, we've gone the opposite way because we think that that's the way to do it. But, like, the more people you keep interested in the sport, the more likely you're going to have elite level athletes when they hit adulthood, like, you know, the sort of way. So yeah, but you're right, Damo, it has to be a countrywide, you know, like, different sports, obviously different rules, but like, this obsession that this country has with winning, as opposed to progression and like development, needs to change.
Yeah, because you want to keep your talent pool as open as possible. Like,
exactly.
But like, we ran our coaching course there the other week, and it's pretty much like, it's an introductory phase, and it's like 4 to 6, and like 4, man, like even at 4, you're just like, look, it's giving, all you're trying to do is give them positive experience with sport. That's it. Like, if they go walk out inside, they have fun, and they say, yeah, that's your job done. But we had people on that course saying, oh, should you start them at 2 and 3? It's like, how far do you want to take this? Like, you're going to take them out of the womb and start trying to teach them how to run through ladders, like
flagpole in the womb, like.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Tumbling out of the
womb. His form wasn't great coming out there. Like, I was like, at some point, you just need to, like, let them be kids. And a lot of adults forget that they're kids. And it's like, you know, I had one mom take their kid out of our class, and her reason for it was that they were just playing games. And I was like, all the stuff we're doing, we're assessing them, but they don't realize they're being assessed. Because, like, it's a game environment. That's what's going to make them practice that stuff more. And if you take them out of that environment,
you can't win. You can't win with that. Like, that's the thing. Like, I was a little fucking brat. Like, when I was younger, man. Like, again, like, my dad and my mom would have brought me, but this is back in the day. Like, things were a lot more innocent. And my dad would have been at the back of the class watching, like, recording gradings and recording, you know, competitions and stuff on a big fucking big video camera thing. All those days are obviously gone. Someone stand at the back of a room with a video camera and a load of kids training. But like I'm great, like they're great to look back on now. But I was just a little brat. Like I was that little fucker. Like if I'm ever coaching, I'm just like that one kid that just doesn't fucking listen, man. He's just running back, just wants to talk to whoever is there. He just never, his attention span is like a goldfish. Like that was me. It's just but again, so you can't judge the book by the cover at that stage. It's just, as you said, it's just about them having fun. And if they can keep coming, whether it be, you know, through them having fun or a bit of parents' influence, a lot more likely they'll stick it out, you know. But again, like that parent just dragging them out because they're playing fucking games is just shocking, like, you know. And then on the other the flip side of the scale, you get some parents that just literally drop their kids to be babysit. They couldn't give a shit what they're doing.
Yeah. Man, it's so important to learn things like that though so early, like coordination and how to move your body. Like it's I always find it now, even like with one of the girls I'm training at the moment, like I after about 2 or 3 weeks of training, I turned around and said, did you do like any athletics or any sport when you were younger? And she said, yeah, I done hockey. And you can see by the way that they move, like somebody who's been brought from a young age, being active in sports, they don't lose the coordination. You might lose, you know, like your fitness or your muscle mass, but you don't lose that coordination on that how to move and how to move your body in different ways. It's so important to learn that from a young age, man. Like, like I have a huge problem with like, it's not body shaming or fat shaming, but I have a huge problem with the obesity problem that we have in this country at the moment. Like, and like literally, if you just, especially in young kids, man, it's huge. Like, just send your kid to do something. You know the sort of way.
We learned everything you were talking about, man, by just going out on the street and being given a ball and a trolley or something. Like everyone now thinks that like you need to like send them into a club, and it's like obviously you're talking about my own club and I run stuff for kids, but like getting them out on the street and just playing with their mates will do everything. Like when they come into us, it's structured play. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to them just going out and making up their own games and learning all those coordination skills just by going out on the road themselves and playing with their mates. That's how we would have all learned it. Like,
yeah.
No,
things are just a lot more sedentary now, aren't they? In everyday life, just everything's fucking sitting around video games and just lack of playing soccer or, you know, fighting on the PlayStation fucking 4 instead of actually going out and
kids don't even want to play games now, like video games. Don't even want to play the PlayStation, just want to watch someone on YouTube play the PlayStation. Like, that's how bad it's gone.
Never understood that. We're like three alphas just giving out now about, like, you know,
in my day.
yeah,
that's it.
But it's so true, man. It's so true, like, and it's this, like, we can talk about this COVID thing or whatever, but, like, you know what I mean, like like the health in this country is deteriorating. Like there's like being obesity is like, it's rampant, like, you know, that kind of way, especially in kids, like, and it is because life is just easier. You can just, it's okay now to sit down and play the PlayStation all day and eat shit, and you won't be like, you'll be nearly, like, people are nearly glorified now for it. It's like, okay, it's okay, that's what you want to do. So, and going back to what Damo was saying, was like, it's like he was made to go train. I was made to go train, even if I didn't want it. I was made to go, and now it sticks to me to this day, because if I wake up in the morning and I know I have to train or I know I have to do something, if I know I have to go to fucking work, or like, I have to do it. It has to get done. It's not just
imagine if it was from imagine if it was anything else. Like, imagine if it was like fucking having a shower. Imagine you were like, I don't want to have a shower. And your man, dad, it's alright. Like, you'd be fucking, they'd be reported. Reported.
Yeah.
But why is it okay for a kid to be super fat?
Yeah. Be the stink bomb in the class. It's alright. Don't worry about it. Like, you know,
you'd be reported, like, if your clothes weren't clean and everything like that. You'd be, you know, you're not being looked after. But you're grand, you know, if you're very overweight, like, and it's not even your choice at that age. No, it really isn't. Like, it's and that was one thing. Remember, I mentioned Norway. Being in Norway, it was they remember going into the supermarkets and you know, like after weighing in, I would go have a bit of a piggy. I might grab a bit of chocolate. Like fucking £7 for a chocolate bar, and you're like, all right, I'll rethink that. I'll put that back. And like, you wouldn't have an obesity fucking problem then. I can guarantee you that. Like, you know, as soon as you have to rethink, like over here, it's easier to eat sugar. You know, if you had like, I know talk about that sugar tax and all, but if you hiked up the price on shy food, you would not have an obesity fucking problem. Guarantee you that. Like,
100%.
I had an argument with one of the teachers in the school I was in before because she was organising the sports day, and I was like she literally just turned it into like she threw a few cards, a deck of cards underneath the parachute, and like on the other corner they had a bouncy castle, and she's like, sure, it's just a bit of fun, and I was like, but you assessed them on maths though, like you assessed them on maths at like 7, 8, and she was like, oh, but we don't want to like she didn't have any races or little bits of competition, like, and she was like, oh, but we don't really want to make it competitive. And I know I kind of said it, like the competition side of things I didn't want, but at the same time, it's like kids who are good at sport should also get recognized in school. Like they're focusing on the ones that can't do anything. It's like, well, why don't you put a bit of focus on the kids who are good at that stuff and compliment them? Because the likelihood is they might not be doing that well in maths and they're just getting slated for it, but they look like they're doing well in sport. And then those other kids, if you turn around and say to them, no, you're actually not doing that well in sport, like, and you can tell the parents they need to up their activity levels, do you know, and you can base it off something. Like, why can't you can't do that? Like,
it's like it's sorry, Damo, it's like that thing as well. It's like I was told I was shy at maths. You know, the kind of way, why can't somebody be told that they're shy at PE?
Like, you need to up your activity, but that's it. Just like you need to up your activity levels. And
now they go. Great though, isn't it? It's great when you it's great when you hear like it's so funny, like, but it's so true. It's
but it's simple. You're not mentioning their weight. You're not mentioning anything about weight, or you're literally saying your child. You just need to up their activity levels. It's apparent in the assessments that we've done, and we have assessments in some of the schools now. But you're just like, it's apparent in the assessments that we've done that you're active. If, as you said, if they failed maths, they'd get told they need to do more maths.
So, being sure your maths isn't going to kill them, though, isn't it?
That's what I mean. Exactly. I have to get maths grinds for the leaving cert, like, you know what I mean. But now, and don't get me wrong, I'm totally against bullying. I'm totally against all that, like kids having a go with kids. But
I used to give me stick all the time, man. Used to fat shame everyone in school. They did.
That was the other thing as well, man. Is like, these kids, do they not really know the difference between bullying? It's like when we were in school, if you weren't slagged, like if they didn't slag you, they weren't your mates. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I didn't slag you, I probably didn't know you. You know what I mean? Like, we probably weren't mates. Like now it's like it's like, I'm not into the bullying part of fat shaming and all this. Like, but it's as Damo said, it's unhealthy to be overweight. So why can't you pull the parent aside and say, listen, like, as I said, I'm getting maths grinds because I'm shy at maths. Well, then, like, he needs to be more active. He needs to look after himself. You know, that sort of way. And then it follows into your 20s and 30s then, where it's like, oh, it's okay, I don't need to exercise. It's okay, I can eat whatever I want. Like, and it's not.
That was what the physio that I go to, though, he said that to me. He was like, he goes, I have women that come in to me 50 or 60, and he's like, they have the same injury every month. They come into me, get their back popped or whatever, feel great for a while, and he'll come. And he said, like, he goes, I'll make recommendations to them to do, you know, a little bit of exercise in the gym. And he goes, I know full well they won't do it. And he said, what parents, like that parent that took their kid out from us, he said, what they don't realise is what you're doing is stopping that child turning into that 50, 60-year-old woman that has a negative association with exercise, like, you know, so 100%. You're keeping he said, that's literally all what you're doing. He said, the minimum role that you're doing is that, you know.
100%. And the thing again as well is, man, if this COVID, if this last year hasn't woken people up to the fact that you know, looking after yourself is important. And if you're looking at yourself from this time last year and you've done exactly the same thing for 12 months, you still binge on refined carbs, or you're addicted to sugar or alcohol or whatever it is. In the last 12 months, if you haven't actually tried significantly to try, and it's not hard, it's simple little lifestyle changes and to improve your health, then like you're just banging your head against the wall, man. Because, you know, as Damo said, like being shy at maths, like is not gonna like, you know, decline your health, but like we have this, like, even at the moment we have this fucking war against exercise. And I saw a news article the other day about, oh, joggers should wear a mask. Like, and I'm like, that's just going to all it is just gonna, like, people are just gonna go, I'm not gonna go fucking jogging if they want me to wear a mask.
I've seen more of them and more of them, and like, there's just more and more every time I go out. I'm just seeing them, and I'm like half of me is like fair fucks, but I'm like, how did he do it? How did he do it? Like, it's like I can barely breathe walking up the stairs of the apartment wearing my mask. Like, never mind never mind jogging. Like,
it's crazy, man. And it's like this thing of like again, going back to the COVID, it's like, I'll just throw something over my face. I'll just jab a vaccine into my arm. It's like, no, if you're unhealthy, the likeliness of you getting sick is going to go up. And if you're overweight, like, the likeliness of you getting any disease is going to go up. So yeah, this country especially, we need to start looking at, like, educating children in stuff that we weren't educated in. I wasn't educated in like, when I was playing sport, like, we'd have, like, you know, oh yeah, have your Weetabix before you come down to football. We weren't educated on, like, you know, drinking water, or, you know, like, little, like, going back to school, were we ever shown, like, you know, the importance of fruit, vegetables, whole foods, water? Like,
the only reason you were scared of sugar was because of the dentist or something. It wasn't because you thought, like from a health point of view.
Then you just stop going to the dentist.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, the only person that would come in would be a dentist saying, "Oh, sugar is bad for your teeth." It's like, now you're not. Like, obviously, it does a lot more than just affect your teeth. Like,
yeah, man.
Yeah.
And the kids need to be educated in that, man. Like, it needs to be, like, I approached a local school to see if I could come in, and just, like, literally a school right across the road from me, like, I emailed them and just said, could I just come in and have a chat with the kind of kids, like, the 5th and 6th class, to see if I could just come in and have a chat about, like, you know, the benefits of exercise that it's been on my life, for my, not just my physical health, but for my mental health, and what it's done for my life, and how, like, you know, it's driven me, not just in what I've done, but in my life to do things, different things, and in my job and blah, blah, blah. I didn't hear back from them. Now, I know, like, this was a while ago, a lot of shit going on, like, but, like, there has to be something where it's like, okay, if my mom and dad don't understand, that's fine. You know, a lot of people aren't educated in that, and that's what, at the moment, I find it great when you talk to a client and they actually are interested in their health and not just losing weight, like, straight away. They actually want to be healthier. And it's something that me and Damo talk about a lot. But yeah, kids, I mean, they need to be, like it's okay if their man and dad aren't educated in it, but, you know,
like, weight isn't an overall indicator as to whether you're healthy or unhealthy either. So, like, when people think you're, as you said, like, shaming people about that stuff, you're not, because, like, you can be really skinny and still unhealthy. Like, you know, your diet can still be awful.
20 a day and don't probably eat breakfast and that's it.
Yeah,
I was unhealthy. I was unhealthy when I was I said to Damo, like, I'm 85 kilos now, but when I went through that burnout, like, I was the fittest I ever have been. Like, there's a difference between fitness and health, like, you know, and everyone wants that sort of in between, like, you know, of health, being healthy and fit, like.
You can have someone really fit, man, but, like, obviously, like, us three, maybe not. Us three, if we got BMI, if we got assessed purely on BMI, we'd probably be classed as overweight.
Yeah, we would be.
So, like, it's not the biggest, it's not an indicator as to whether, okay, kind of is, but it's not the biggest indicator. It's not the only indicator as to whether you're healthy or not, you know, that way?
No. But I don't think we can glorify, I don't think being obese needs to be glorified in the media. I don't think it needs to be, like, you know, it's a controversial subject, but, like, it was on, I saw, like, this magazine had, like, a picture of a woman who was morbidly obese, like, and it's made to be okay now in because it's like, oh, well, we can't be mean to her, we can't say mean things about her because she's obese, and it's like, well, you don't have to, but the science is there, the facts are there that being, like, obese is not good for you, you know, and people need to be educated in it, and, you know,
there's more chance of you getting stick for having a six-pack now, man, than being obese or overweight.
Probably, yeah. probably like, yeah.
There
like,
is.
I
So
mean,
when we used to, if I go out and like say I don't get a dessert, everyone's looking at you like you're a freak.
oh yeah.
Or if you're not
Oh,
drinking, you're not
Yeah,
drinking.
yeah,
what's wrong?
yeah. The drink
wrong with
thing
you?
is the biggest one. Like,
What's wrong with you, like?
You on antibiotics? That's the
The
question I
Heineken
always get.
Zero is the best thing that's ever came out, man. To get away with it, just hold your hand over the zero part.
Yeah. But the thing is, man, as well, is like, I like a beer, right? Like, but like I was saying to clients last week, is like, have your glass of wine, have your beer, like, just don't do it excessively and don't do it all the time. Everything can be done in moderation. Like, you can go and get 2 beers in the shop and have it. Like, that's cool.
Unlike
Don't
this
go and get a
podcast,
fucking-
this lasted 3 hours. Like,
Are we on the Joe Rogan? We are. 3 hours. Fucking hell. Getting 3 hours, man.
I'm glad I was late for the first hour, but anyway.
4 hours. But, no, yeah, it needs to be looked at, man. It needs to be looked at because, you know, like, especially
like getting to
kids,
the
man,
end
it's
of
not
this,
right,
like
Yeah.
getting to the end of this needs to be looked at, mate.
Gerald, your hair is growing, mate. In those 3 hours.
Doing it. Yeah. You'll have to, you keep threatening that you're going to train at some stage, but Damo, yeah, if you ever want to do a session or anything like that, you're into giving it a go, more than happy to organise something. Be good crack.
I'd love to give it an old bash. Yeah, great. The old COVID kilos on me now probably make things a lot harder trying to manipulate me body weight, move myself. But yeah, I'd be that lad in the park doing a few regular chin-ups, thinking I'm brilliant, and then you'll come along beside me. I'll start jogging as soon as I see you, even though I hate jogging. I'll be doing chin-ups next to you, but I'd love to give it a shot. Yeah, I'd be interested in a few different things. Just from purely just show off point of view, I'd love to be able to just do something cool, like, you know.
Yeah.
Simple as like that's the reason why that's the reason I suppose ultimately why you get into everything. I started martial arts because I thought being able to kick people in the head was cool, and things like that. You know, that's what gets your attention initially. So it's the same thing, and then I'm sure, the love for it or whatever, you know, you'll change my mind and make me enjoy it even more than just trying to do something cool. You know, that's how things start. But you start something ultimately because you think it would be cool to be able to do something. So. That's what I'd say. You know, I'd love to be able to do something cool, some sort of body movement, some calisthenics, whole to be pretty fucking slickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Like you say, you like the look of something, that's why you get into it. Like,
yeah, that's initially it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool, man. I'll keep me top on though.
Thanks, mate.
You don't want to see my pale. You don't want to see my pale body in March. Not a chance, mate.
Eatho got sunburned that last weekend, didn't you?
Went out for a run, lad.
The only man who can get sunburned in December, like.
Told you, man. I'm like Steve Sidwell. Remember Steve Sidwell, the tan ginger? You put me in Portugal for 2 weeks, I'll come back like Steve Sidwell. But yeah, no, definitely, Gero, yeah.
Gero, since your sport is relatively new, and I'm sure it's fucking like the competitions and all that are obviously. How long are the competitions going in your sport, Gero? It's probably just since it's relatively new in Ireland, it's probably going on years though around the world, is it?
Well, you're talking 10, 11 years now of like a worldwide recognized competition. So like world events, 10 years. We organized the first competitions here. That was in 2016. So like 4 years in Ireland. So.
But so then, what would the drug testing point of view be in calisthenics? Is it forbidden or what?
Well, yeah, it's weird because like you were saying about
the juice.
Nah. As I'm showing my arm here, like,
he's nervous. He's nervous.
There's no testing, like it's going like. But yeah, we're not evolved enough yet, I suppose. But for a lot of the lads, there's 2 ways of looking at it. In that, no matter how much juice you put into yourself, you can't learn a skill. But then also, if your recovery rate is a lot quicker, and you're able to train for 3 hours, and I'm only able to train an hour because you're on the juice, like, you know, there's a lot of that side as well. But no, it's not at the point where it's looked at or You know, there's not enough money in it though. Like there's not enough money
yeah.
to.
Again,
Yeah.
but again, people just want to fucking win. There's always that.
Yeah, exactly.
People
Yeah,
just wanna win,
that's.
So
not,
then you get that rich kid that is brought up well, has all the money, and just wants to win.
like there is a few, obviously you could look at and maybe go, yeah, but like overall, most of us, like, you know, the weight category in calisthenics is 50, 60 kilo, and you know, like
What do you
70.
compete at, girl?
I'm float between 65, 69, but there's not many weight categories in our competitions, which that like it's an argument I'm making at the minute, should there be, but
Yeah,
certain depending on the organization, some of them have weight categories. I just think it makes it more accessible and it's a more even playing ground because people in their 80 odd kg that are 6'5", like they can't compete against me who's 5 foot odd and 60 kilos. Do you know what I mean? Like I have a huge advantage there. So
yeah, and the score and the judging criteria will be the same. Like, you know, I don't, again, ignorance on my behalf, but like how many seconds you might be able to hold a static hold for, how clean it is in comparison to someone that's a lot bigger than you. I suppose more points awarded or whatever way the judging criteria is. How can it ever be a level playing field if there's not more weight categories?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if you have really long limbs, you know, compared to me, I'm closer to my center. Statics are easier, and that's not just like that's not an opinion. You know what I mean? That's just a fact. Certain characteristics are going to be more beneficial to certain sports. Like you said, you having longer limbs could be a benefit in kickboxing, but it might be a disadvantage in our sport.
Yeah, the same in lifting as well. In like, you know, a taller person will deadlift easier than a smaller person will squat easier. You know, same kind of things. You know, same ways that between tall and small. You know, there's benefits, there's pros and cons. Like,
yeah, there's a thing. Last time I was chatting to you, Eatho, I was talking to you about that. But like the Chelsea Wars are now, but they do like talent identification programs, and like that was how England went from, you know, not winning too much to being the most successful in 2012 and 2016. And she was literally just going around to schools and looking at like what physical characteristics does a certain sport need. Okay, you have those characteristics, you're joining that sport. You have those characteristics, you're joining that one. And she said like a lot of them would transition. So you could be coming maybe third, fourth, second in one certain sport, and they turn around and they're like, well, your characteristics would suit this. And if you're at an Olympic level, you, like you said, you want to win, and someone says to you, if you moved into that sport, you'd actually be a lot more successful. And a lot of them did go from third and fourth in one sport to winning the next one because they had characteristics that suited a different sport, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the biggest kind of the most well-known sport, I suppose, with characteristics is basketball, isn't it? And just height. Like, and my wife Rebecca, so she plays basketball, but like I always find it fascinating, even the smallest people on the court, like men now I'm talking, when I'm looking at them, like I think I'm gonna be about the same size as them. And I'm still looking up at them. And they're probably 6'3". And it's just like it's a weird conversation. Like I kind of say to people, it's like how do you all end up playing fucking basketball? Like, it's like, because obviously when you're only young and they're playing up to such a young age, is it just rolling the dice? I just hope the fuck I grow because I love this sport, and then all of a sudden they end up being tall. It's like, how come you're all so fucking tall? Because it is crazy. Like,
there's some statistic in the States that if you're over 6 foot, the higher the percentage goes up for the likelihood that you play professional basketball. So if you're like something like if you're over 6'5", like I think like nearly 20% of the people at that category are professional NBA players. Like,
incredible.
And then obviously they probably have a wingspan is probably ridiculous as well. You know, their arm length and things like that.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, it is mental. It's fascinating how they just coincidentally all end up so fucking big. Because again, they're all starting from kids, which is it is probably the biggest. Like, it's probably the biggest sport with an attribute like that that's needed. Like, obviously there are exceptions, but they're all still 6 foot plus. I don't know if there's anyone that's under. I don't know if there's anyone that's under 6. Like, but you know, other sports, it's kind of a mixed bag. I don't really know any other sports that are like a must. If they're contact sports, they're all weight categorized. I don't really know any other sports. Like rugby, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I know they're all giant, but you can put size on. You can't make yourself taller.
Yeah. In gymnastics, the tallest ever fella was 5'9", but in general they're like 4'9" to 5'4". Like the average, and it's dropped down every year. And then in females, like the tallest was 5'6", I think, and then it's just gotten lower every year. So they're getting smaller and they're getting narrower, every kind of year. So
that's mad. And then going back to the testing, like going back to the drug testing, like I knew kind of shit. Like again, it was just ignorance on my behalf. That's why I said I just ask how many years it is involved. But like even in kickboxing, the testing's very limited. And it's
that's what I mean about the money. Like they wouldn't have the money to test people in ours. I don't know what it's like in yours, but
it's not there. It's not there, and it's an extra cost that people have to pay. Like if you're a promoter and you want the sport to be playing, it's going to cost you, and why the fuck would you do that? They don't want to do that. Like, they don't care. They just want money. So they don't want to do that. So, but there are governing bodies, like, so when we fight at the WACO events and things like that, like they have random drug testing, but it's very rare. And again, they're only testing you at the event. You can juice all year round and then just cycle it out. And so it's kind of not. There's no point in it really. I've only been drug tested once, and it's just a urine test as well, urine sample. And but that's it. Like once in my whole career, like, and it's so it's not very prominent. Like, and it's the chances of catching someone are very slim. But it's definitely. I think there's a lot of people, a lot of guys doing it at the highest level, especially in other countries. Like, I don't even mention any names, but there's definitely, like, even at the Worlds last year, we were chatting to a guy from another country, and he was openly telling us about other teammates that were juicing, like, from clubs that are juicing. And I competed against him once. I competed against one of the guys once, and just kind of like it's mad, it's just mental. But that's what you're up against again. If countries are willing to fund their sport, you can guarantee that they're going to be willing to do other things, because they want success. They want money coming back their way, so they'll do it at all costs, pretty much.
Like the bullshit thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's me. I haven't watched that now. I haven't watched it, but I've heard a lot about it. But it probably just pissed me off. It's just.
But they're
monsters.
Like...
The Russians are monsters as well. Like, so they're just so mentally strong. They just need. You never see them, like, they're not physical specimens. They're just workhorses. So it's just like it's the worst kind of combination. They're just fucking workhorses, and if they're juicing, like, but.
We had one lad talk to us before, and he was saying, if you've been coming, say maybe second or third, and it could be in swimming or something where you're coming up against the same people all the time, and some doctor walks up to you and is like, if I give you this, I think you'll beat your man, and it's at that top level where he's getting all the sponsorship deals, you're not, blah blah blah. It's like, it's very hard to say and obviously we don't, but like, you can see why someone would be tempted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially when people are coming close to their last run, when they're like, right, fucking, I didn't make it to this Olympics, so I've only got one more cycle in me. Like, I'm just gonna fucking go for it. Like, people are definitely a lot later on in their career, they'll do that, and people get desperate. Because again, you kind of get defined as that sporting person. That's what you are. You are that sporting person. So unless you really, excel at it, like, you're seen to be a failure in the sense. People definitely try to push that on you. So you kind of have to have a good morals, and again, good fucking family. But if you're that person that had no acceptance or no love from anything else in life other than sport, you could definitely be easily persuaded a lot more if your morals were in the wrong place. And again, it depends on the culture. We know it's wrong here, and we get educated that it's wrong. But if you're in a country that you don't know anything else, and your coaches could be even slowing it into you, when they're from other countries that completely put faith in their coaches, like, just complete faith. The coaches is the be all and end all. The coach might as well be their father. They'll do whatever they say. So they could be just giving them shakes, giving them supplements. God knows what it is. They don't you know, I'm going to give you this cortisone injection. Like, it mightn't be for cortisone, it could be whatever. Like, they probably just listen. So it's very hard that if your morals are mixed up, you know, it's I could never do it. Just you constantly just knowing you're a cheat. Like, couldn't sleep at night. You know, like if you know that you didn't prepare right, I could never even live with myself with that. Never mind knowing that I fucking cheated. Like, you'd constantly be beating yourself up. Like, you know, I'd rather fucking try and fail than have all the success in the world, like, fucking, and have it taken away. If you look at that Lance Armstrong, it's like who he was is just completely gone now. Like, it's just taken away from him completely. Like, it's like, that would be fucking, and there's no coming back from it. Like, he's done. His career is over. There's no way he's getting another chance. Like, I'd rather fail and try again and fail, and then just, you know, can see it and say, right, I tried my hardest but couldn't do it, than fucking do that, like, and have it ripped away from you, like, and just be a fraud. You know, it'd be fucking, it's soul destroying.
I sound like I'm very pro drugs here, but there's a guy talking about the science side, and he was just like, science is always going to be ahead of the assessments. You know, people will always find ways around it. You know, they'll find ways where what you're assessed on, they can't trace it. And he's like, just let them do it. Like, but I'm the same as you, man. Like, I fucking hate the thought of needles, and I want to know that I've been my best, and I haven't been my best just because I've pumped something into myself. And long term, it's not going to be healthy. Like,
yeah, the rewards of it aren't there. The rewards of it from the drug testing point of view is there. Like they're not getting bonuses if they fucking catch people. You know, that's not like, so there's no incentive for them to want to improve testing constantly and be really thorough with it. Whereas there is a massive incentive for people that can come up with a drug for whatever country that won't be tested by the Olympic fucking Commission. You know, like, there's a massive incentive there, serious rewards financially, and just, you know, bragging rights for those kind of guys. So that no wonder it's going to be ahead. But yeah, it's unless it has to be, like we were saying earlier about it has to be a worldwide, well, a country thing. Well, in this case, has to be a worldwide thing at events. But if you're like the kids being told that we're not going to play competitively, and then they're like, right, well, fuck that, I'm just going to go down the road and play. It's the same kind of thing. It's like if there's some events saying, like, we're not going to drug test, they're like, well, fuck that, I'm going to go down the road and go to the test, the worlds where there is drug testing, unless it comes out as a universal thing, and it's like, you can do what you want. You know, you can do what you want. Then it's not cheating anymore. It's only cheating because obviously it's frowned upon, it's banned. You know, unless everybody is doing it, then it's not cheating, unless it's openly. And that is the scenario in cycling. That's what they said. Everyone's doing it, and it's like, that's why they all have to do it to compete. But that's cycling's job to clamp down on that, and it's the same in other sports. You know, but unless they openly come out and say that it's a level playing field, and every governing body is going to fucking be willing to you know, track and do testosterone replacement therapy on every athlete, and it's going to be monitored appropriately by doctors. That's the only way it's going to be a level playing field again, then, you know. But you're better off just keeping it all natural and just trying to, again, it saves less hassle from people, and again, you don't know the long-term effects down the line, never mind the short-term effects on them just trying to win. You don't know what effects it will have long-term on your health. But it's definitely been done at the highest level. Now, I've experienced it a few times at sport. You think you're at a high level, and then there's these guys that are just in fucking fast forward. Like, you're like there's something that's just another level. That's something else, you know. And then you hear this kind of, you know, Chinese whispers from their teammates saying, like, oh yeah, so and so was on it. And you're like, fuck, like, you know, hopefully he gets caught soon enough, because he's fucking racking up the wins and racking up the medals. And he'll probably retire from a sport like that's not as recognized. Like, kickboxing's not as recognized as cycling, and there's not as much financial. He'll probably get through his whole career and just retire and be fucking happy out. Like,
Eatho's bladder, I'm gonna explode, mate. So, we had the extra hour before you, Damo, and you had a toilet break, mate. So
I know, man, it's not on. There's nothing worse than being late. I hate if there's a client being late. I'm more late now on Zoom than I am ever in life, because I'm never late in person. But ever since Zoom, I'm so fucking late because you think I can just pull it out of my pocket and get onto the phone. So I'm always late. And I never shut up talking, as you can see, 3.5 hours a week. So I'm always running late onto the next client, onto the next client, onto the next
I'm
client.
gonna have to release it over like
late.
3 weeks. I'll have to release each hour in a separate like segment or something like.
Just pay the whack. You'll be all right, mate. It'll be only an extra €4 for you or something.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go, lads. All right, but that was class. Thanks for chatting to me, boys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on, mate.
Anytime, girl. Me and Eatho love chatting. So I'll call you now, Eatho, and we can have a chat for another hour.
Yeah, that's what I said. When me and Damo talk on the phone, it does be a good hour, solid hour. So, I mean,
we're only getting warmed up.
Thanks very much, Carol.
All right, lad. Thanks a lot.
Legend, girl, right?
All the best with everything.
Yeah, we'll chat to you soon.
See you later, Eatho.
Take care, lads.